Okay, what's going on here? Why is everyone packing their stuff? We're all relocating to the Imaginings universe. Wait, Jaden's publication? I mean, he's the guest on this week's episode, but what am I supposed to do without all you? I need you here. You're part of why people love this podcast. I just listen to whatever Finton says to do. He's smarter than me. Thank you, Arnold. And yes, I've convinced the others to join me so they don't meet a similar fate by your hand, Mr. Writer. Oh my god. Are you still mad about what happened to you in Order of the Pawn? Yes, Bradley. You promised me things would get better, but every chapter just gets worse. Well, we're in the thick of it right now, but come on, Finton, you need to have faith. The only thing I need is a writer who respects me enough to be nice to me in their stories. Besides, Jaden's fantasy universe sounds positively wonderful.
Finton told us that we would find the pressures. We trusts as Jaden more than stinky little hobbitses.
Okay, fine. You want to go? That's fine. But don't say I didn't warn you. Wait, there's a warning? Arnold, don't listen to him. He's just trying to scare us. No, I'm making sure you're informed. The Imaginings universe? Yeah, sure, it's magical, fantastical, full of beautiful sights and sounds, but a walk in the park? I'm not so sure about that. So what? Any good story needs conflict. You're not scaring us. Very true, Finton. But I'll have you know, Jaden doesn't shy away from dark fantasy. His characters are real and they deal with really scary stuff. Yeah, well, I can handle it. Of course. No, I'm sure you can. Ugh. Alright, everyone, wait. What's the matter, Finton? I'm just weighing my options, that's all. Uh-huh. You know, now that I think about it, maybe a crossover is more appropriate. A way to test the waters before we jump ship. Wow, Finton, that's very mature of you. Maybe we can introduce you to Jay, the solar demiurge, and he can tell you about his adventures. You two have a lot in common. Did you know he time travels too? Oh my! A solar demiurge, you say? Ooh, I'll need to remember to wear my nice shoes. Yes, I think this is the best approach. Good. I'm glad that you've seen reason. Now, don't push your luck, Mr. Writer. I'd better see some improvement in next week's chapter of the Order of the Pawn. Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Does that mean it's time for the Saved as Draft podcast? What are you doing? I wanted to introduce the show. I never get to do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 48 of the Saved as Draft podcast. We're nearly at the end of the year, which is crazy to think about. They always joke at my job that things slow down this time of year, but my question is for who? Because it's not me. I'm just as busy as ever. And speaking of busy, I've got another amazing episode for you this week. We'll start off with our weekly shoutouts, and then I'll take a look at last week's Wandering Prompt winner. Speaking of... Wandering Prompt 5. 1, 2, 1, 9, 2, 5. Write a story or poem about beings who discover their entire universe is about to end, and how they plan to escape. 1,000 words or less. First to post a link in the comments wins. A second story will be chosen at random. Good luck. And I got you, didn't I? Alright, it's okay if you want to pause the episode and go work on the prompt. But don't forget, there are 2 slots now for winners. The first place slot goes to whoever publishes first, and the second is randomly selected from other submissions for a spot on the show here. Okay, now go ahead and work on your prompt. I'll wait till you get back. Okay, good? Awesome. So after looking at last week's Wandering Prompt winner, we'll jump into the power-up prompt stories from this week's superhero prompt. From there, we'll take a look at new indie book releases, courtesy of Bookstack. We'll go over our writing discussion topic this week, which is about monetizing your work. And after that, it'll be time for this week's featured guest interview. This week, I'm sitting down with J. Allen Winchester, who's a good friend of mine that I met earlier this year through Audio Mazes. His style of fantasy storytelling combines elements of mythology and his omniist beliefs to create worlds that are incredibly detailed, but also incredibly human. It's an amazing interview and one of the longest ones yet, so I hope that you enjoy that later in the episode. And something else I'd like to do in the intros going forward here on the podcast is I want to talk a little bit about a writer in the community each week. As you know, sometimes I'll feature certain people who have done something interesting like publish a book or they just launched a Ko-Fi. Other times I will mention people in the intro here who just joined the community, and I'll definitely still continue to do that. But in addition to those things, as part of the introduction to the podcast each week, starting now and going forward, I'll pick out someone at random from the community that I have personally interacted with or enjoyed their work, and just give them a little quick shout out before we jump into all the other shout outs and stories each week. So, all that being said, our first featured author here in the introduction on the podcast this week is going to be the wonderful Spencer D.W. And if you recall, Spencer was actually my guest on the show for the Halloween episode. Spencer is a horror writer who's been here on the Substack writing community as long as I have. I met him, he was one of the first people I met, actually, back in January. And I just immediately connected to his work. It's incredibly well written. The imagery is insanely good. And the imagination behind it is just incredible. I cannot recommend enough. He's one of my favorite horror writers of all time. You just can't beat the atmosphere of his stories in addition to the detail. And like I said, the imagery. Spencer is also really, really good at giving feedback. If you are looking for honest and useful feedback on your stories, I cannot recommend him enough. He gave me feedback on one of my first short stories here, Widowmaker, and to this day, I still think about that feedback, and I used it not only in future stories set in that world, but in other stories as well. So again, if you're looking for feedback, some constructive criticism on your work, look no further than Spencer D.W., and while you're at it, check out some of his amazing horror stories. And if you're so inclined, take a look back at the Saved as Draft episode from Halloween of this year if you'd like to learn more about him and all of the amazing stuff he's doing. Thank you to Spencer for being the first featured author here, and like I said, look forward to quick shout-outs like that each week for specific people in the community going forward. All right, and that's it for housekeeping this week. Let's check out this week's shout-outs after a quick word from this week's sponsor. Today's episode of the Saved as Draft podcast is sponsored by My First Universe. Have you ever wanted a universe of your own? Introducing My First Universe. Start your own universe from scratch and watch it evolve. Decide if you'll intervene or if you'll become an apathetic god that resents their own creations. The choice is yours. Hey, come here, check this out. Mine just invented the alphabet. Yeah, well, my denizens are wrestling with the concepts of morality. Ooh, mine just declared war on their enemies.
Hey, look! Ours invented fishing!
That's weird. Mine haven't done anything but swim around. Those are sea monkeys. Ah, crap. I knew I shouldn't have ordered mine on Temu. My First Universe is the perfect gift for your friends this holiday season. Using our patented Bingo Bango Big Bang technology, you can have a miniaturized universe of your own in minutes, with only a slight chance of creating a black hole in your living room. Become the architect of your very own universe today. Order now for 20% off and free holiday shipping with code GODTIER at checkout. All right, and we're back. In this segment, I'll be discussing 5 stories selected at random from my weekly podcast shoutouts thread in my subscriber chat. Remember to keep an eye out for that every Tuesday for a chance to share links to your latest work. Our first shoutout this week is for The Muse by L.G. Wells. This one's a holiday-themed horror story from one of my favorite horror authors, and if you give it a read, you'll quickly understand why I'm such a fan. Here we have the story of a horror author themselves haunted by a muse that offers him inspiration based on real-life horror before implementing a chilling ultimatum by the story's end. It's a story that feels like a horror spin on a classic Christmas story, but it doesn't shy away from some intense themes. So be sure to check the content warning before diving in. When it's all said and done, though, this combination of sharp writing, realistic horror, and the use of poetic stanzas throughout the story work together to form a true masterpiece of storytelling. Easily one of my favorites from LG. Here's an excerpt. The muse's voice echoed in the void, cold and absolute. An icy road, a fateful slide. Without your death, she is the bride of winter's cold and steel embrace, or you can take her empty place. He was standing on the I-95 overpass. Below him, blue and red lights washed over the snow. A sedan, his sedan, was crushed accordion tight against the concrete median. Steam hissed from the radiator. He tried to look away, but the muse wouldn't let him. He zoomed in, a cinematic push. There was no body visible in the driver's seat, just a mass of ruin. But jutting out from under a deployed, blood-soaked airbag was a hand. Pale, limp, feminine even amongst the carnage. On the ring finger sat a platinum band with 3 small diamonds. Elena's ring. Oh God. No. Amazing. Really good story from LG this week. Our second shout out this week is a note posted by Rebecca Watson that contains an untitled poem. I love it when authors post little gems like this on their notes feed. I've done it before myself. With this piece, I love the layers Rebecca has woven into the spaces between each line. The words tell of winter seasons with beautiful imagery, but there's hints at deeper takeaways as you read. It's simultaneously an ode to the winter season and a battle cry for anyone who is struggling. A reminder, as the piece says, that warmth is something you carry, not something you wait for. I love that line. And here's an excerpt to dive a little deeper. I love the feel of my cheeks, burning red from the crisp wind. Proof that I'm still here. That the air has teeth, and I let it bite me anyway. Snow, though, I don't romanticize that mess. It's beautiful until it isn't. Until it's slush and soggy hems, and regret under your boots. But give me cold without apology. Give me coffee outside, steam rising in slow ribbons, curling around my hands, like the day is leaning in to listen. Beautiful. Love the way that flows so effortlessly. Awesome work from Rebecca. Our third shout out for this week is Chapter 1, Alexandra Maxine Bradley by Kevin Mahoney. I love how I read the title of this and saw Bradley in there, and I was like, wow, what a great name. And then the first several sentences of the story are the protagonist complaining about how much she hates her name. Thankfully, she's mad about the Alexandra Maxine and not the Bradley part, so we're all good. As it goes on, this first chapter gives us a deep look into Alex's life thus far. The writing style and tone here feels genuine and authentic. It's written like a journal entry, which I really enjoyed. Not only is it straight to the point and matter of fact, but it's also packed with personality. I feel like I was getting to know Alex as a character while also hearing about her life. In that way, it was very immersive, and by the end, I felt like we'd been friends for years. It's a really great start to the series from Kevin, and a great example of how to create a nuanced character through the writing style itself. Here's an excerpt to give you an idea. So what's the first thing you notice about me? Is it the thing on my head? Well, duh, of course you do. The Red Sox cap I wear backwards on my head, and always have. Most people don't get it. You probably don't either. You probably assume it's just a weird quirk, since a cute young girl shouldn't attach herself to such boyish things. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's more than that. My oldest brother, Sam, left it to me when I was like 9. He gave it to me before he moved out. I doubt even he meant for it to be this big thing. It was just one of his old hats, always lying around, and I liked it so much that I used to sneak into his room and steal it all the time. Before you ask, no, I don't wear it because it's his. I sort of do, but not exactly. It's hard to explain my attachment to Sam's cap in full, but when I have it on, I feel invincible, as if I can take on the world in the same daring, unapologetic way he used to. But at the same time, it makes me feel relaxed and be invisible if I want. Or maybe just blend in, but not in a way that I completely vanish from sight. This worn and faded cap's been with me through every stupid moment, every tough day, every awkward conversation, and without it I feel so lost and out of my depth. I love it. Notice how it's just written so casually and conversationally. It really makes Alex feel like a real character, and this is her real journal. I love that. Great work. Our fourth shout-out this week is Riders on the Storm by Alex Cosgrove. This is a short poem that alludes to the arrival of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. It's a chilling piece that conveys a ton of imagery and emotion in just a handful of lines. Here's an excerpt, but honestly I recommend you check out the full piece. The word choice is very distinct and the atmosphere is incredible as a result. Here's what he wrote. White brittles and rides atop the clouds. Skeleton riders and half-flesh monstrous steeds. Swinging the sharpened golden blades of steel. Of petulance, suffering, and slow pain, making quick work of the terrified crowd. Amazing work from Alex. Check out that piece. Really enjoyed it. Our final shout-out this week is The Ferryman's Toll by Luna Astley Kolsu. Luna describes this story as a standalone dark fantasy exploring grief, devotion, and impossible bargains. A woman haunts a river's edge, refusing to leave her sister behind. A ferryman, bound by ancient vows, faces a choice that will cost him everything. This lyrical story examines the weight of memory, the hunger of water, and how love outlasts the forms it's given. I love when writers offer a description like that to give us an idea of what's in store. It's the narrative equivalent of an appetizer. Lord Devereux would certainly approve. I've read a good chunk of Luna's work, but something that I've come to realize the more I read is that she offers something truly unique in every piece that she writes. We often say that, as writers, we leave a piece of ourselves on the page every time we hit publish, and I think with Luna, that's literally true. Each of her works digs deep into my soul and plucks the strings of emotion that feel like the quintessential forms of that feeling. Here, she's focusing on grief and regret. Reading this piece is like feeling the purest form of melancholy and longing. It's really impressive, wonderfully atmospheric. It pulled me right in, and it made my heart ache. Here's an excerpt. He flinched. A small thing, a muscle he had long ago taught not to remember how to move.
"No living light,"
he said.
"Only what the water has already taken."
"It took my sister," she said. He glanced past her shoulder into trees that had learned to lean together.
"It has taken many. It will take more."
She stepped closer. The flame brushed his palm in a blue lick of heat. He felt nothing. He remembered heat as a story he had been told. "I'll cross," she said.
"Only the dead."
"Then kill me." He closed his eyes. The oar shifted against his shoulder. Tiny drops ran from the blade, counting time he never kept.
"I can't,"
he said.
"Not you."
"You don't know me."
"I know you still make fog breathe,"
he said without meaning to. The river stirred. He reined himself in, softened his mouth around the next words.
"Go home. If you can't, let the bank be home enough."
Incredible. Phenomenal way to wrap up the shoutouts this week, and thank you to Luna and everyone else who submitted links. It's always a pleasure and an honor to talk about your work. Okay, next up, we'll take a look at last week's Wandering Prompt winner. Welcome, one and all, to this week's Wandering Prompt Award Ceremony. This week we're celebrating The Tea House at the Edge of Later by J.M. Gooding. You know, I'm more of a coffee guy myself. I like both. Same here. But hey, let's talk about J.M.'s story because it is absolutely amazing. I love how in this piece, J.M. always creates this beautiful sense of place to the point where I feel like I've been here before. I know this tea house doesn't exist, and yet I felt nostalgic for it. I agree. If this was an ad for a real tea house, I would have already been there twice. The ending in particular was really striking, like a good cup of joe. Or perhaps a cuppa of Earl Grey. Yeah, sure. You know, the other thing I loved about this story is how J.M. gives us such a beautiful and profound takeaway, which is what I was hoping to see from the responses to this prompt. When I wrote this one, I was reminded of a game called Necro Barista that really stuck with me over the years since I played it. Oh yeah, that's the one about the skeleton who works at Starbucks, right? No, you idiot. It's a narrative-driven game about a coffee shop that spirits visit before they pass on. That's right, and it has a very similar vibe to J.M.'s piece here, which is why I love this story from him this week. Let's check out an extended excerpt. Behind the counter stood this old man, or maybe he was just well practiced at looking old. His eyes were too sharp for his face. He didn't ask what I wanted, just said, "Long day?" like he'd been waiting for me. I nodded. He poured something from a black ceramic pot into a cup that didn't match the saucer. Steam curled up in lazy spirals, carrying a scent I couldn't place. Something warm, something I wasn't sure I deserved. "This one's for people who lost track of themselves," he said. "Drink slow." I should have left. Normal places don't diagnose you before you open your mouth. But I sat at a corner table, took a sip, and the whole room softened at the edges. Not in a trippy way, in a human way, like my nerves finally understood they were allowed to stop bracing for impact. The woman with the ring started crying quietly. The gramophone needle lifted on its own and dropped into the next song. The man with the grief-stiff shoulders exhaled so deeply it sounded like something leaving his body for good. My tea tasted like something I used to believe in, something I once cherished but lost. When I finished the cup, the old man appeared at my table without walking there. "You don't come here twice," he said gently. "Not because you can't, because you won't need to." Amazing. Congrats to JM for winning this past week's Wandering Prompt. And now, a look at this week's Power Up Prompt stories. Alright, and this week's Power Up Prompt was our first ever superhero story. It was set in a place called the Walled Metropolis. The character was the recruit, and the conflict was the pursuit of vengeance. As always, I add additional details to each of these in my weekly Power Up Prompt posts every Saturday if you'd like to join, so be sure to keep an eye out for those each week. Okay, let's take a look at what everyone came up with. First up is Consequence by Terrifying Tales, aka CJ Knight. I love the setup here, as CJ effortlessly weaves in the world-building elements of the prompt while expanding on the ideas to craft a rich world. The moment Eli, our recruit, gains their powers is epic as well. There's a twist here that CJ introduces, which turns things toward a horror story for anyone caught in Eli's wake. What follows is a story of blind rage and revenge in its purest forms. It's visceral, gruesome, and wonderfully rendered upon the page. I'm a big fan of CJ's work, and this story is one of my favorites from him. It's an exceptional start to the Power Up prompt stories this week, so thank you again to CJ for submitting. Next up, we've got Razor's Edge, Bullet's Heart by Jonathan Hogue. Now, I love that title. The story has amazing names throughout, like The Cutting Crew, Bullet Man, Samurai Savage, and Steel Lady Hawk. It feels like a classic comic book story, but it has a modern spin that treats these superheroes as human beings beneath all those powers. It's got the action you expect, but it's layered with human moments that prove superpowers can't fix everything. I love the balance here that Jonathan struck, and the ending. It's an incredible reminder of the cost that vengeance exacts on our very soul. Amazing work from Jonathan as always. And next up, we have an entry titled Power Up Prompt number 21 from Mercedes D. Santiago. I was really excited to see this story from Mercedes, as I don't believe she's done a Power Up prompt before, and if she has, it's been a while. Mercedes also commented and let me know that English isn't her first language, but honestly, I really couldn't tell when I read her story here. It's very engaging, the word choice is excellent, and the style is wonderfully atmospheric. It's really good work. The concept is also really good. I love how the mutants beyond the wall in this story are known as soul eaters, and the story here focuses on the protagonist's parents being captured for treason in a process known as ascending. It's a powerful motivator for the vengeance aspect of the prompt in this story. And, of course, the story leaves us with an ending that opens the door to even more. So, I hope to see more from Mercedes in this world in the future. Next up, we have a story called The Wall by J.M. Gooding. Once again, I have to applaud J.M.'s writing here. The story is just immediately immersive and atmospheric. I'm transported entirely into this world within just a few paragraphs. I love the way that J.M. approaches combat and action in his stories as well. If you're not familiar with his work that combines historical warfare with folklore, you have to check it out, especially ahead of next week's Power Up prompt, which I'll talk about more later. You get a taste of that in this story, especially in the final act as mutants swarm the city walls. The intensity is excellent. It's a nail-biting read that left me breathless by the end. And the ending itself was also very abrupt, but in the best way possible. It's the kind that echoes in your mind when you're done reading. As always, I wanted more, but I respect how he ended it and where he did. Excellent, excellent work, as always, from JM here. Next, we have The Other Side by Jennifer Jorgensen. What I loved about this piece is how Jennifer weaves the world building into the narration. We get to join our protagonist as they daydream about what kind of superhero they might be when they get their powers. This allows Jennifer to tell us about the range of heroes in this world, including important ones like Dynamo and the Mole, who keep the city running, but don't have the flashiest powers. I like that little detail. And now I don't want to spoil everything here, but I have to say, I love the power that Jennifer gives the protagonist once they undergo the procedure. It essentially gives them the ability to take away other heroes' superpowers simply by touching them. And to be clear, this is not like other stories where they can borrow or temporarily take the other powers. No, they erase the mutation from the people they touch entirely. The powers are just gone. Now, this could be used for good. They could cure the mutants outside the walls, as was mentioned in the story. But of course, the other heroes quickly become paranoid. They're now afraid of losing their powers. It goes from there, and in true Jennifer fashion, the characters and dialogue are just so believable and grounded. You can feel the uneasiness in their voice when they talk to our protagonist or about the protagonist. It's a really cool twist on the concept, and one of my favorite stories this week. Awesome job from Jennifer. Next up is After the Walls by Abhishek Banerjee. Well, this story has a chilling opening. It starts with a description of a recruit dying suddenly, and we shift to the perspective of a character named Kieran Voss, who has seen this happen countless times. Then, just as we reach the end of the opening, there's a line that reads, "Today is the day I sign my own consent form." This is a beautiful mic drop moment. It immediately locked me in. And this is a great example of how you hook your readers. As the story goes on, Abhishek also weaves in excerpts from in-universe documents as well, which adds an excellent layer of immersion to the already atmospheric storytelling. There's also an amazing breakdown of the story at the end, which I love to see. Here, the author talks about the themes of the piece, saying that the story is about what it costs to tell the truth when the truth won't save anyone. Incredible. Not only do we get an excellent story, but we have some beautiful analysis at the end to spark discussion as well. Big fan of this author's work, and yet another fantastic piece from them. Next up, we have That's Enough by Wendy Russell. I love how Wendy here introduces the story saying vengeance isn't explosive, it's contained, deliberate, and focused on who gets to decide when enough is enough. My favorite part about this story from Wendy this week is how it establishes a tangible tension between the characters. In this story, we have Gwendolyn and a superhero called Tidefather who are both at odds. This comes through in their dialogue especially, which is coarse and tightly written, but manifests in their body language and the details that Wendy includes in the story itself. It has amazing pacing as a result. It just pulls you from one line to the next before landing on a reflective and resonant ending. Really enjoyed this one. And honestly, if you're looking for examples of great dialogue, look no further than Wendy's story here. Remember, you can find links to all these in the show notes. Next, we have The Deepest Pit by Mina Howell, and this is part 1 of a side series set in the world of Mina's Redemption is Overrated series. If you're not familiar, that series is a fresh and modern take on the concept of Dante's Inferno. It's set in a version of hell that is divided into similar rings, but in this series, we follow characters who have found a way to travel between them. In this side story, we're introduced to a character named Ophelia, who's a resident of the Treachery Ring, which is typically the lowest and reserved for the quote-unquote worst of sinners. In this story, the Treachery Ring serves as our walled metropolis, and the news of portals opening between rings has the demons of hell thinking it's about time they took the fight to the angels in heaven, and as the story puts it, rewrite the history of hell. The best side quests, be they in stories or gaming, have to have meaning. They have to feel like they can and will have an impact on the main story in some way. And that's precisely how this one feels. So, I'm insanely excited to see what comes next year, and again, phenomenal work from Mina this week. Be sure to check this one out. Our next power-up prompt story is The Salt in the Circuitry by Graham Brandham. Graham introduces us to the story with the following line. Beneath the story of superpowered beings and nefarious causes, however, is a story about belonging, about ego, and about what it means to not be alone. I love the concepts in this story. The idea here is that the walled metropolis is beset by an ocean that is itself described as a pathogen. Our superheroes are guardians that protect the city from it. There's a scene where our protagonist is about to undergo their transformation to become a guardian, and I love how it's explained here that they will become part of the city's immune system as part of this broader metaphor for how everything fits together. I also loved Graham's use of double meaning in this story. An earlier line has the character say that their parents died defending the city and they wish to, quote, finish their work. This, of course, alludes to the vengeance aspect of the prompt in addition to what they're telling the other character. It's subtle and I love it. As the story goes on, the truth is also revealed, and it's a beautiful revelation that leaves us with an ending that will really leave you thinking. Graham even goes so far as to include some questions at the end, to further encourage discussion, which I love to see. Beautiful work as always, from an author who consistently paints incredible imagery and thought-provoking stories in equal measure. Definitely love this author's work. Next up is A Door Made of Grief by Connor Mancuso, and as always, Connor has a superb intro to the story here as well, so I'll read that before I share my thoughts. Connor writes, "There's a version of the world where walls mean mercy, and then there's Nithyrus. A metropolis built like a prayer and maintained like a lie. Its center polished clean while the outer rim becomes the part of the body you don't talk about. The buffer. The bruise. The place you let bleed so the heart can keep calling itself holy." This week's power-up prompt asks for superheroes and supervillains, but grounded. Powers that are incredible, yes, and people who are still people underneath it. Flaws. Grief. Ego. Rot. Love that. It's like a pitch and an introduction rolled into one. And here, Connor's style of epic poetry shines in this piece. Every line feels beautifully intentional and gloriously handcrafted. The way it paints a powerful image of the city and the world before it dives into the story itself is exceptional. And of course, the way Connor's word choice conveys rich emotion and atmosphere further enhances every beat of the story. His use of an intro and outro help guide the reader's thoughts and expand their thinking in ways that I love to see. This is an experience as much as it is a piece of writing, as is the case with a lot of Connor's work. I highly, highly recommend it. Big fan of his stuff. Our next power-up prompt story is The Volunteer by Loki Cone. I simply have to read the opening paragraph of this piece because let me tell you, this is a great way to open a story. It reads as follows. "To whoever remains among the living, I am already gone. Gone does not mean dead, Not always, but close enough that the difference no longer bears weight in the scales. The city will say I was a traitor and aberration and that I lost my purpose. Let them. Men who live behind walls have to pretend their wardens are saints, or they come apart. Nobody builds statues for the ones who turn around and hit the stone. Notice how this opening gives us character development, world building, and an introduction to the story all at once. It is superb, and it sets a perfect tone in just a few lines. Truly exceptional writing. And as the story goes on, it keeps this sort of personal feel to it, like we're having a conversation with the protagonist. It's a somber tone, but it's punctuated by moments of action and intensity. Throughout it all, Loki Cone keeps this sense of poetic observation, though, that I really, really love. It's a piece that tells you a story and teaches you lessons almost beat for beat. For example, there's a line in the middle about an intense moment that reads, "He had sacrificed in the name of order, I in the name of destruction. Different scriptures, same God. Necessity." Like, come on, that's amazing. And these moments of observation, of internal thought, are used incredibly well in Loki Cone's work, and it's one of the reasons that I have become very quickly a huge fan of their writing. Exceptional quality, definitely check it out, and of course, link in the show notes. Our final power-up prompt story this week is The Fall of the Icarites by Tailspinner. It opens with a haunting stanza of poetry that describes the Draken. It perfectly sets the stage for the story, describing them as useless, spineless, decrepit monsters, and slaves to their own salacious wills. Amazing word choice there. We soon learn that our protagonist lost their entire family to these things. The story details how their mother, father, and uncle died by simply trying to defend themselves, or trying to get by in the case of the uncle specifically. It's a horrific setup, and it immediately connected me to the world and the characters. And the story culminates in an ending that is both incredibly powerful and horrifically sad. It shows us the cost of vengeance, and in this case, it's quite a high price. The final line echoes as well, leaving me with chills from head to toe. Truly incredible work from Tailspinner this week. And everyone who submitted power-up prompts, thank you. Stay tuned for the next power-up prompt the day after this episode airs on Saturday. And next up, we'll take a look at our Indie Release Radar. Hello and welcome to this week's Indie Release Radar, powered by Bookstack and Hazel Allen. Let's take a look at some new releases from indie authors from around the web, shall we?
Bradley, I have a problem.
What's wrong, Arnold?
Hazel ate my script.
Are you trying to say that a dog ate your script? That's usually the excuse people use.
No, I mean Hazel, the person, took my script and ate it in front of me, and then left.
Arnold, that's ridiculous. I mean, look, my script is right here.
What is it? What's happening?
My script is gone. There's just a note here that says, "It was delicious," and it's signed by Hazel. Huh.
Wait, is Hazel related to Lord Devereaux? What are we going to do?
You know, that would explain their sudden appetite for content. Okay, no, you know what? It's fine. We'll just wing it. Let's go. First up this week on our indie release radar is She's a Catch by Timber Sapphire, which is an accidental Vegas wedding sports romance and the fourth book in the She Can Play series. After a wild night in Vegas turns into something more, a woman finds herself married to an international cricketer while still reeling from a painful breakup. Despite this, he says all the right things and she can't bring herself to walk away. Can she turn one reckless night into something real, or will the past get in the way of everything she's ever wanted? She's a Catch is available now, and you can find a link to the Amazon listing in the show notes. Next up is Challenging the Heart, an MMA romance by R. Katz. Challenging the Heart is a new MMA romance starring a popular MMA fighter named Kane Mitchell. Kane is at the top of his game until a parking lot fight goes viral. As his world crumbles around him, his PR manager suggests a bold plan: hire a girlfriend. Enter Daphne Wilson, a marketing graduate who receives the offer to be Kane's girlfriend for 1 year, complete with a steady paycheck. Despite being polar opposites, sparks fly as an attraction forms between them, and the line between what is real and fake begins to blur. You can check out Challenging the Heart, an MMA romance, now, and you'll find a link in the show notes. Next up is No Love in LA, an angsty queer enemies to lovers rockstar romance by Kata Kiss. No Love in LA is an angsty queer, enemies to lovers rock star romance and the third book in the Pagans and Popstar series. It stars Angela Alice, a heavy metal goddess who has a crush on the stern goth who hates her. While recovering from a breakdown, Angela hits a bout of writer's block. As the pressure of her tour and her mother getting out of prison weighs on her, Angela soon finds herself with her crush in a probably not haunted Sacramento mansion where their mutual attraction is too strong to resist. Check out No Love in LA, available now on Amazon. You'll find a link in the show notes. Well, Arnold, what did you think of this week's selections?
I think it's impressive that you did all that without a script.
Yeah, that's true, actually. All right, next up, let's dive into this week's writing discussion. All right, and for this week's writing discussion, I wanted to talk about monetizing your work, and I gave everyone a two-part topic/question. First, I asked everyone to tell me how you plan to or are currently monetizing your work. And then part two, I wanted them to share what they're looking for when they're seeking to support fellow writers. Is it books? Is it merch? Is it a tip jar? Like, what is something they're looking for? And I'm hoping that these answers this week will help us all come up with some ideas on how to turn our writing into a living, because, of course, that's the goal. So, let's dive right in. First up in this week's responses to the writing discussion thread is Mina Howell. Mina says, I have books for sale, commissions open, and I would love to open a merch store as soon as I create some things to make merch of. If money was no object, I'd be handing out paid subs like Oprah. I'd also be donating on Ko-Fi and buying all the books until my bookshelf collapsed under its own weight. And then she says in parentheses, again. Oh, I love it. I love it. I honestly couldn't agree more. I think Mina's got some really cool stuff for sale. I'm a big fan, obviously, of her work. Her book, Ophiocordyceps Beginnings, is available now, and I highly recommend it, having been someone who read the initial draft here on Substack. But yeah, I also have to give a shout out to the Oprah line there, because if I could, I would be subscribed to all of you, paid, of course, and buying everything I can that you offer. Of course, money is not unlimited, but hey, you never know. Keep open, right? Next up in our list of responses here, Verdant Butterfly says, I am working on a book for sale. I've opened a merch store that will go live in January, and I do commission work through word of mouth at the moment. Yeah, fantastic. And if you have yet to check out either Verdant Butterfly's work or her art, please, please, please do so. It is incredible. I love everything she does, from writing to art. An amazing, amazing creator here in the community. Okay, next up, Connor Mancuso says, I feel like I went on a rant with this, but here you go. For me, it's kind of a layered mess in progress, but there is a plan. Right now, my main monetize the brainworms path is through books plus a lit mag, supported by tips and memberships, rather than trying to live off paid subs alone. Though almost 100% of income to the Lit Mag will go back into the magazine and the team members with me. I just finished the first draft of my debut cosmic horror/dark fantasy novel, The Loom and the Maw, as most might know, and I'm in beta reading/revision hell. The goal is to self-publish, as traditional publishing an entire book still scares me a lot, but I'm sure it will not forever. I'll be using Ingram Spark, etc., so a chunk of my future income will hopefully be from actual book sales, print plus ebook, but this all requires funding first and foremost, which at the current moment I do not have. So I'll have to figure that part out. I also run a weird little literary magazine, as I said above, called The Oblivion Index, which focuses on dark/cosmic/uncanny work. Long term, I want that to become something that can pay contributors and maybe do cool and weird things. That'll likely be funded by a mix of donations, magazine sales, and maybe some sponsorships if I can find non-gross ones. Though because we are a brand new, who knows when or if that will happen. On top of that, I've got my Substack for stories, essays, and project updates, and then Ko-Fi/Buy Me a Coffee floating around in the background to help with the unsexy costs, ISBNs, print proofs, software, cover art, and all the tiny fees that stack up if you're self-publishing and running a magazine. All of which I'm still trying to add up because being a published author, or rather wanting to, is not cheap at all. Advice-wise, the things that feel right to me are the ones where money feels like fuel, not like a paywall around my existence. I'd rather build a slowly growing backlist plus a small committed group of people tossing in what they can than try to squeeze everyone into recurring tiers they can't afford. Also, let's be honest about costs. Saying this is going toward ISBNs and LitMag infrastructure feels way less gross than pay me or the words stop, because whether I get paid or not, the words will never stop flowing. It would just mean physical books and etc. would take longer to appear in your hands. And here's Connor's answer to part 2. He says, I'm kind of all over the place, but in a deliberate way. If I really enjoy someone's work and I'm able to, I'll buy the book first. owning the thing feels good, and it's a permanent little vote for please keep doing this. If they don't have a book yet, or I'm broke that month, I love having a Ko-Fi tip jar option. Low pressure, one-off, no guilt if I can't keep it up monthly. It's like sliding a crumpled bill across the bar and saying, that line wrecked me, thanks. I love that. Something which I have done for a couple people across Substack so far. I do sub to some paid newsletters, but I'm picky. I'm not expecting massive exclusive content grind from them, and truthfully, I'd be a sub to a lot more if paid subscriptions if my income wasn't what it is currently. And then at the end there, he has a little TLDR, but we already read the rest of his message. So yes, Connor, thank you for the input there. I love all the range of stuff you got going on. I love how you give everyone a bunch of awesome ideas here in terms of books. I really like how you pointed out the tip jar as sort of a low pressure option. That's something that I also like a lot and something that I offer for the same reason. So really great input from Connor there. All right, next up, EJ Ritter says, honestly, I'm kind of winging it. I wrote and published Ghosts of Epsilon 5 a year and a half ago, basically on a whim because I wanted to be a writer. Obviously, I wanted the monetization to just magically happen, and it never did. I don't think the book is anything to write home about, but it was an amazing journey to go through while I worked night shift at a hotel. Now I'm under the impression that maybe I could actually do it, become a real writer, and my best plan is right here on Substack. I want to build a following of readers and writers that wholeheartedly enjoy my writing and stories. Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, everyone, when they go to publish their book, obviously you want it to be successful, but sometimes there's so many factors, right? And it's not like the book can never be successful. It's just you have to kind of, as EJ said, really build that audience. And I think Substack is the place to do it. I think EJ's onto something here. That's why I'm here, right? Like I showed up and I wanted to obviously build an audience for my work, and I wanted to build a writing community. And I feel like that's both things have happened amazingly in this in 2025. And so I would love to see that for other writers as well. And I think it's a great approach. So shout out to EJ. Fantastic response. Next up, Asteria Geisterblum says, that's such an interesting question. I have a small short story collection for sale, but I opted for not having an ebook available. I don't really advertise it though. For now, I'm just content with it being out there. I like to take out paid subscriptions when it fits my budget, but I wish Substack would have a more flexible system for it. And I guess I'd much rather buy a book or PayPal/Ko-Fi money to someone directly rather than use Substack because Stripe and Substack both take a cut. I'm way more picky about books though. I only buy books I will read. I don't collect them. So if the text isn't formatted or the cover looks like it was slapped on the book without much thought or connection to the story, I'll skip it. Bonus points for chapter titles. I miss those. I miss those too. And I hate the reviews on the back of the book, especially when they are replacing the blurb. I often find that it negatively impacts my curiosity to get to know a story. And if there's no blurb, I usually don't even bother looking at a book twice. Okay, amazing response from Asteria there. Some really nice nuggets of wisdom. I agree with the subscription flexibility 100%, especially because it takes a cut. Now, what Asteria said about book covers and the reviews/blurbs on the back, that is really, really interesting from a reader perspective. Because when we're putting those things together, you know, we always hope that people won't judge a book by its cover. But to be fair, humans are very visual beings. So it's worth putting that extra effort into your cover. And a lot of people will think, hey, if I put reviews that from people saying they loved it on the back of my book, that must sell it. And to an extent, that's true. I think maybe one or two is good. But as Asteria said, the blurb on the back is the most important because someone's going to pick it up. Maybe they like the cover or the title, and then they're going to want to know what it's about. And you need to be able to provide that to them quickly and easily, or they will move on. So really good points from Asteria there. Next up, Loki Cone says, I don't think my stuff is good enough to be published. I'm not looking to make money off of it for now. I'm just sharing, and I hope others like it. Obviously, tips are accepted. My two biggest obstacles are my internal editor and then my external devil telling me no one will care, so why even post? I've even gotten really good at ignoring my shoulder devil, but my internal editor keeps me fixing and fixing and fixing and second guessing and fixing. I don't know the second answer. I feel like a finished product. Like I won't buy a book that's part of a series until the series is completed. Thank you, GRRM. But subscribing to content is a good way to support a working artist, so I don't know. Okay, totally fair response there. And let me just start off by saying that having reviewed a few of your stories on the show, my friend, I hope you're listening. Please keep posting because people do love it, myself included. You are an insanely good writer. Your style is iconic and the quality of your stories is through the roof. So I know that what you're hearing there with your editor and devil is some imposter syndrome coming through. So if you haven't, check out my article on imposter syndrome. I pass it along to anyone who's suffering from it because it comes for all of us. But that being said, I do agree with wanting to wait till a series is finished before buying the book. That's totally fair, especially as someone who has kind of hit, in stories that I've read or TV shows and stuff like that. I've been burned by stuff being either canceled or not finished. Totally fair. So I think you're onto something here. But my biggest response here to Loki Cone is please, please, please keep posting. You are doing amazing work. Okay, next up, Hazel says, for my writing blog, it's kind of a mess right now that I'm still figuring it out. But I think I'm leaning towards doing limited run serials alongside some free content each week. I still plan on releasing more poetry collections in the future, and if I ever get to it, a novella and a novel. I also have plans to offer some merch for Bookstack, plus I offer featured book listings in the directory alongside premium spotlight commissions. Ultimately, my goal is to eventually shift away from having to work another job to being able to do this instead, just not quite there yet. And yeah, exactly. I think for a lot of us, the goal is exactly that. But I love what Hazel is doing. It's similar to my approach where it's focused on a combination of obviously putting your own work out there and furthering your craft, but it's also, Hazel does a ton of stuff for the community with Bookstack, as we heard earlier in the Bookstack Indie Release Radar, and all the other things that are mentioned here by them, including the book listings and the spotlight commissions. Really great stuff, and I think Hazel's setting a great example, and I fully believe that one day this will be enough for them to do this full time. I have complete faith. All right. Our final reply in this week's writing discussion thread is from Abhishek Banerjee, who says, I don't even think someone would want to publish my writings, though I have dreamt of having my books published, holding them physically for years. Sometimes the dreams have been too real. My core consciousness and ideology for me has been to write and have them available publicly for people to read mostly. Yeah, and again, we're hearing a bit of that imposter syndrome, right? Like opening with the line, I don't think anyone would want to publish my writings. Listen, if your writing wasn't amazing, people wouldn't be reading it, and it wouldn't be getting, these amazing reviews from me on the show. Like, here's the thing. I love featuring people in the community here, and I love doing the shout-outs and the story reviews, but I read each story with a critical eye, and I look for things that truly make it special. And my friend, you have very special stories, as you heard earlier in the episode with your Power Up Prompt story. So please, again, I would recommend, if you haven't checked it out, check out my article on imposter syndrome, because not only did I put a lot of work into that one, but I did get a lot of different perspectives from not only Substack, but also Blue Sky and Threads. So there is a ton of great wisdom in there from writers in the community across the internet. And it's just a reminder that everybody experiences imposter syndrome. We all think that we're not good enough to do this, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that you are. Okay? All right. Now, thank you to everyone who responded to this week's writing discussion. Some great answers in there and some good ideas on how to monetize your writing, which is something that all writers need to do if they want to take that leap to being a full-time writer. It sucks that we have to ask for money in a world where money is scarce, but we need to be able to pay the bills and eat, as we all know. So, thank you to everyone for your answers. And next up, we'll get into this week's featured guest interview right after a quick mindful moment. Hey there. This is Chill Bradley, here with this week's Mindful Moment. Here's an excerpt from a poem I read here on Substack. I was so concerned with doing it all right that I stumbled into perfection, only once my time was up, so I could be judged. And that's from I Was a Man Once, Right and Wrong by Possum Kingdom. As writers and artists, we often get stuck in the endless pursuit of perfection. I've been guilty of it. It's part of the reason my current novel has been stuck at 30,000 words for several years now. We want our stories, especially the big ones, to be perfect. We comb over them time and time again. We change a detail, modify a scene, expand an idea, and all the while it remains secluded from the world. The problem is that perfect is the enemy of good. As human beings, we are inherently flawed, and I argue that our art should be flawed as well to match the human experience. Perfection is a pipe dream. It's a noble but ultimately foolish pursuit. And no one wants perfect art. We connect with art because it's flawed like us. We see ourselves within it. So, keep that in mind next time you find yourself worried about making a story or poem perfect. Thanks for listening. Back to the show. All right, and this week's featured guest is a dear friend of mine who I met earlier this year through Audio Mazes. He's a writer of epic fantasy that channels deep human themes and reflects upon the human experience as a whole. He's an impressive writer with a vivid imagination and beautifully realized worlds. There's a lot of wisdom in this conversation, so I hope you all enjoy it. And without further delay, let's dive into this week's featured guest interview. All right, everybody. This week on the Saved as Draft podcast, I'm extremely excited to welcome to the show the author of Artemis of Dodecatheon and Nature Calls Spring, an author who loves how myth and lore inspire generations and who studies storytelling from a literary, theatrical, and spiritual perspective. Please welcome to the Saved as Draft podcast, J. Allen Winchester. Jaden, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've been really excited to do this for a while.
Yes. Long time coming. So let's start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your creative journey thus far.
Alrighty. So I like to call myself a mythic storyteller. I enjoy writing epic style formatted fantasy. It comes a bit literary in execution, but I like to think that I write literary for common people. What a lot of people might not realize about folklore is that it was originally written for the common people. This was not storytelling that was intended for the aristocracy or for the lords and all that stuff. It was actually for the common people to be enjoying. And nowadays we kind of consider it literary. So I'm like, well, why don't we write literary for the normal people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't like you don't have to be long brow or something to enjoy a really well written story.
Right.
So that's kind of my approach and the type of writing that I enjoy doing. Now, I do tend to dabble in mythology and folklore, things like that, because I am a pagan writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I do enjoy writing as a pagan's perspective. As a kid, I think I was probably the only kid in the theater who was scowling at the screen when Hades walked in the Hercules movie,
Yeah.
because I went, wait, that's not Hades. Why is everybody mad at Hades? And why are we singing gospel music in Greece?
Fair questions.
I was that child though. I was like, no. I've been reading mythology since I was a kid, and I was getting a little upset. So I actually did not enjoy the movie as a kid. But I have watched like how people treat mythology and things like that in like a jesting manner, and they're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. And I'm like, how many people get their feathers all ruffled if you depict Jesus in a weird way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, how do you think we feel?
Right.
So I try to write as a pagan mythology that feels reverent to our stories, and not just a retelling, but a new chapter. Like, that's how I try to approach mythology and folklore and fae stories and things like that, because I like playing around with stuff like that. I guess my writing journey currently, I guess my current path that I finally found myself on started when I was 16. I came up with a story sitting in my independent living class, which I swear should be offered in every school, because it's a class that literally teaches you how to adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I learned budgeting. I learned what kind of lifestyle do you want versus what type of job you should have.
Mm-hmm.
They were teaching us about like changing tires, how to apply to get an apartment, like all sorts of cool stuff. We even learned how to sew.
Wow.
So and ironically, I came up with my very first epic, sitting at a sewing machine, sewing a pair of pajama pants.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, because anybody who's ever sewn, your brain kind of just drifts off
Right.
as the humming of the sewing machine's going. You just kind of fall into like a rhythmic, hypnotic state. And I just started coming up with a storyline.
Interesting.
And that was the very first one, and it was I think it was I think it was in February. So yeah, in February, Eclipse will be 23.
Oh wow. Okay. Nice.
So yeah, that was the first one, and I was thinking about my at the time my favorite fantasy was Portal Fantasy,
Hmm.
so I wanted to try and write a Portal Fantasy.
Okay.
So it's yeah, I guess I just started like, what kind of stories do I like, and let me try making my own, and that was the start. Because after that, it was a total cluster of, oh no, we are off the rails. This isn't fun anymore. This is stuff that like is real stuff happening to me that I just have to write stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So that first story, then, the one you came up with while you were working on the sewing machine, what was the premise, the concept of that one, if you recall?
Oh, I do recall it's actually on my Inkit profile, the first book.
Okay.
Eclipse the Beginning. The premise was you have this teenager, high schooler named Samuel Watson, who
Mm,
goes to a prestigious young boys' academy in England.
mm-hmm.
There is an incident where a person manages to get a gun inside the Queen's gallery that they are on a field trip.
Mm,
And he's kind of hysterical and stumbles across their group as they're going on their tour. And naturally, these students and chaperones are like, "Oh my God!" But one person who bullies Sam quite a bit because they're actually roommates at the dorm, he actually clams up, and instead of like leaving him to like, okay, yeah, you're at this dude's mercy, he actually jumps up and takes a bullet for this kid.
wow.
And he's thinking to himself, okay, well, I guess this is it. Uh, but then he has an out of bodied experience and he literally sees his body in the kid's arms. And he's like, wait, huh? What's going on? What, what, if this is life after death, theologians have this very wrong. Okay. Because he's very intellectual, and he ends up getting transported. Literally feels like he's left Earth, like
Hmm.
there's no air, like he's like, what in the world? And he ends up in this realm called Aurora, after the dawn,
Hmm.
and he drops from the sky onto somebody, and another person witnesses it, and they all just kind of go on the run because they're like, "Oh, this nope, nope, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here." And he is now in the care of two Aurorans, Seraph and Celestial,
Hmm.
and they are being tasked with trying to solve what is happening to the realm of Aurora. Something There's a darkness that's encroaching, and they have to figure out what it is.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So with that story, then I'm curious, did that story kind of start the seed for any future stories? Like, did you end up kind of following up with other stories set in Aurora, for example, or is there any connection kind of back to that? I guess is what I'm asking.
So Aurora is a really big world.
Yeah.
I write, like I said, I write epic stuff. I like being able to build a world that I can play in that sandbox no matter as many times as I'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
The originally it was supposed to be three books. It is now branching into a fourth one. Because I outline all my stuff. Like I know the whole roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
But after really evaluating the ending, I realized, oh wait, the story's not done.
Mm-hmm.
So the fourth one came about, and it started with Eclipse: The Beginning, which is the first book. Then the one that I'm writing and working on now is The Gathering,
Mm, okay.
which is like the next step in their journey. Um, and then I'm still playing around with the third one because, like I said, I realized the story wasn't done yet, so I was like, oh, I need to change the name of this one. But the fourth book is called Eclipse: The Lunar Eclipse.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's
So.
crazy. So that story then, if I'm understanding correctly, that story back when you were 16 kind of kicked off the entire sort of series that you've been working on up until now, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, I'm still working on it. I did a lot because my process takes a lot of planning. I am a plotter, like you
Yeah.
wouldn't believe.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
Um, I think I've mentioned I feel like a demiurge who literally is shaping worlds,
sure.
and like I just watch them.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun watching them organically take shape because I don't have to question what are their motives, what are they doing, because I'm watching them just take on a life of their own.
Mm,
So with Sam and Seraph and Celestial, it was kind of like this group, this triangle of pro tags moving the plot along. um, lots of self-discovery. Basically, they're up against like the status quo is essentially what their huge conflict is
Mm-hmm.
the world cannot continue as it is, but there's someone who's trying to keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, unknowingly causing more damage, but like it's that whole like the establishment is thinks they're doing the greater good, but they don't realize what they're doing.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of like kind of your creative journey from that point till now, you mentioned Inkit. I'd love to talk a little bit about kind of like, in terms of like where you've sort of published and shared your work. Is Inkit kind of where you went first? I know you're on Substack now, obviously, but what
mhm.
was that journey like, trying to get your work out there?
So for a long time, I didn't have anybody who would read my work except my mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
And like my friends, the only things my friends would read really was like fan fiction that I would write because I actually used to get paid to write fan fiction for
Oh,
people.
really? That's interesting.
Um, yeah, yeah, $25 a pop in high school.
That's good money for high
Um,
school.
yeah, especially because it was a little niche because they had original characters that they wanted inserted into a story,
Mm,
but they were like, I want it to feel original, like something that I'm coming into that I don't know what's going to happen.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, tell me your character, give me the premise, and I will write you a little short story that your character gets dropped into.
Interesting.
So that was actually because I didn't get an allowance or anything, and I didn't have a job till I was 18. So
Right, right, right,
um,
right.
so yeah, that was how I was able to pay for anything I wanted. I had some friends actually that we had a forum. I think it was like Pocky something.
Mm,
And
mm,
we all would pitch together to be able to pay for, the hosting.
mm,
So we could all talk to each other and engage that way.
mm.
Yeah, that's how I was able to have any fun. But it took a really long time for me to be comfortable sharing myself because for a while, I felt I was a buzzkill
Mm,
because I
mhm.
had a very different sense of enjoyment.
Yeah.
Uh, like I didn't enjoy Hercules like most people.
Right.
Um, honestly, my first question was, "Where's Persephone?"
Mhm.
I was like, "Why is he this cranky? Where's Persephone? Is Persephone not there yet? Like, what even?"
Mhm.
But and of course, later on in the Hercules TV show, she's there. She's just not with with Hades, and I'm like, "Oh, this is just wrong." Um, but yeah, I had very different tastes than a lot of my peers, so they kind of felt I didn't feel like I would vibe with a lot of friends, and the ones that I did ask to read my stuff, they weren't really interested in the original stuff. So it really wasn't until 2018 that I found Inkit because I was looking for writing contests because a friend of mine was like, you should submit stuff to writing contests. That's
Mm,
how you get noticed. And I
mhm.
was like, but that costs money that I don't have.
Mhm.
I am
Yeah.
very broke.
Yeah. 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 That's fair. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I barely break even most of the time with my budget.
Mm.
But Inkit was a free to read platform, still is.
Mhm.
But the whole premise is that you can post free to read stuff there, but they have these monthly contests that you can have your stuff submitted to
Mm.
that people will vote by their likes and how much they engage with it and you gather like some data on it and then winners from that can be approached to go onto their published app Galatea,
Mm.
which you might actually find this very interesting, Bradley. Um, it's a platform where they take the book and they put sound effects and music and
Mm.
stuff as you're reading it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So they wanted to create this immersive experience for readers to enjoy as they're reading. And I was very interested in trying to get on there. I even was approached by some of the people who ran it over in Germany because they liked Nature Calls a
Mhm.
lot, and they were like, "I love how dynamic this is. I can just picture the sound effects, the music. Like we got to get you on Galatea." But I just could never gain enough traction because anyone who has probably heard of Inkit without actually knowing what it is. A lot of them think it's like the werewolf app.
Sure,
They call
yeah.
it, because that's sadly that's what gets the most attention.
Yeah.
A lot of people they're like, oh yay, I can read this stuff for free. I don't have to buy my stuff. And of course, that's what ends up on Galatea. And they're like, while we don't shy away from that, we
Mm-hmm.
would like more diversity on our platform. We want other genres, but that's really what keeps getting promoted. Even though I'm pretty sure like every single review I ever got on any of my stories was 4 or 5 stars.
Mm.
Like people really enjoyed my work. They were constantly praising it. I just could not gain enough traction, and I'm pretty sure it's because it wasn't the genre specific tropes that people are looking for. I wasn't writing romance. I wasn't, doing stuff like that. But I eventually just started using it as how do I get feedback to see if this is enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And it works very well for that. I also met a lot of amazing friends that I still have. Like I didn't have writing friends until Inkit.
Right, yeah.
Um, one of them being Gabriel Garcia.
Nice. That's amazing.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, that's how we met. And then I also met Kimba Pilgrim,
Mm-hmm.
uh, my fellow Selenophile. She wrote, honestly, she wrote a high fantasy that I haven't felt this kind of vibe since I was trying to read The Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Like she made her own world, her own pantheon, her own like history. Like it's a world that is being recreated because the gods had to destroy the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to see if they can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just doomed to fail again? Like I was like, oh my God, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like they have their own like rooms, like the deities have their own rooms where they're like holding on to things that they like enjoy about their part of creation. Like their war god literally has like these trophies that are like frozen in time moments from like battles and wars and things like that. Like the goddess of beauty quite literally has like all of her gems and beautiful things in her area, her clothing. Um like the different deities have like very gorgeously described rooms. But the whole thing revolves around her moon goddess. The Silent Witness is what it's called. And ironically, we were joking back and forth. I was like, so your moon goddess and my moon deities need to hang out. And she was
Mm-hmm.
like, that we should make happen someday.
Yeah.
But she lives in South Africa, so our schedules are very different.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big time difference.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So, and with my schedule, you know how my schedule is. It's a nightmare. It's
Right.
always been. So, but she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Awesome fur mama. She's got beautiful puppies that I love checking in on. And she wrote some other stuff as well. I was like she got like a time traveler series now that I'm just like I just love your imagination. Um, but like I said, I made lots of amazing friends over there on Inkit. There's so many great writers that don't just write like romance.
Right.
And we all kind of just like we try to come together and encourage each other because
Yeah.
obviously our stuff's not skyrocketing above everybody else. But we're
Right.
just enjoying the ride. Um, but from there though, I started really seeing stuff grow because I wanted to see what stories would take off. One of them was Artemis of the Dodecatheon,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was Nature Calls Spring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, my wife and I originally tried to publish Spring. We started a crowdfund March of 2020. Um, we know what happened March of 2020 in the United
Right. Yeah.
States.
Yeah.
So that crowdfund went like kaput.
Right.
Um, but I really was like, I felt like that was the book I was supposed to be publishing because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people were really enjoying it. I had a diverse amount of people commenting on it. They loved the premise, but I got approached in person by somebody who was crashing on a friend's couch because I was just trying to get some input on another title that was Solar Order, ironically, because I was like, does this sound cute enough because I'm trying to write teenagers having a meet cute. And I want to make sure that this sounds like teenagers having a meet cute. I'm a guy and I just got to make sure this works right and it's not weird.
Right.
And they were like, no, this is really good. Like, why would you doubt yourself? And I was like, I don't know. I'm an old brain and nobody likes what I like. But so this person who was just crashing on her couch was looking over it too. And
Mm.
she was like, where do you write your stuff?
Hmm.
So I had cards at the time and she saw my pen name and she went, wait, J. Allen Winchester? You're J. Allen Winchester. I went, yes, is this a good thing?
Yeah.
And she was like, I know you through a friend.
Wow.
And she just so happened to be like she had a lot of money that she was sitting on. And she was like, I'm also a pagan. I've
Mm.
seen Artemis.
Wow.
And she was like, I want to give you money to publish that book.
Wow. What a moment. Wow.
It was right before, it was literally the day before Thanksgiving.
That's
And
insane.
I was
Wow.
like, okay.
That's
Are you
crazy.
sure? And she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, let me go. I'll get the money out of the bank and put it in your hand.
Wow.
So I she gave me 5 grand to approach my publisher, Paul Metal Publishing, that I go through.
Uh-huh.
Um, which they do, it's tech, you can do self-publishing through them. They do like actual traditional publishing quality work.
Hmm.
But since you're buying it a la carte, you choose what you want for your book, and then after everything's done, you get to retain rights to your work.
Okay, nice.
But they give you like good quality stuff. Like they actually got a Better Business Bureau, like BB award, like triple B
Wow.
award.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they're really great people to work with, and I finally was able to give them a book. But they were like, "Wait, I thought you were gonna bring Nature Calls Spring." Because I have a consultant that I work through, and I was like, apparently, actually, somebody wants me to invested in me to publish this one, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, tell me about it, and I told Colby about it, and he was like, oh, so, oh, okay, okay. So about 3 months later, Artemis was rolling out in April, um, and I think it was April 2021.
Hmm.
And when it was actually done, Colby was like, "I'm stealing a copy from the printing press and giving it to my wife for her birthday."
Nice. That's
And I was like,
great.
"Are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah." But later, I actually my stepmother approached me and was like, "Hey, so you know how your inheritance got all tied up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I'm giving you a chunk of it. I'm just sending it to you." And I went,
Mm.
"What?" She's like,
Wow.
"Yeah, yeah, just doing it.
Yeah.
You're it's been too long." So I was like, so I approached Palmetto again and I was like, "Hey, I think can we do spring now?"
Mm.
And they were like, "Sure." And I got the same project manager I had last time, and I was like, "Hey, Chris," and she's like, "Hey," and I was like, "So you get to do a story with somebody with your name in it." Um,
Amazing.
and then spring, that actually had a far better launch because I learned some stuff with Artemis that I didn't know from before, and I tried building up more publicity for it, tried to get more people behind it, and I actually the because the first quarter you don't see anything because obviously you're breaking even, but
Hmm.
quarter two I got my royalty statement and I made almost $300
Wow.
in royalties off of Spring.
Wow.
So that was when my wife was like, "See, I told you were supposed to do stream."
Yeah.
So I actually already had in back in 2020 during the pandemic, I wrote summer and autumn.
Mm.
Um, Summer actually got written in 7 weeks because I was
Wow.
recovering from surgery, and they
Wow.
wouldn't
Yeah.
let me come to work. They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"No doctor's notes, no doctor's notes. Come when you're recovered. We're not dealing with doctor's notes." So yeah, I wrote the whole thing in 7 weeks. And I was thinking I was gonna take a break, but then I got woken up in the middle of the night, um, feeling this like overwhelming sense of like, get your butt out of bed and write it right now. And I went, oh my
Mm.
God. So I wrote chapter one of Autumn and posted it, and then it just fell out. And I think there was a post that you were like, the emotions that you feel when you finally finish your draft.
Yeah. Right.
And you guys were like, oh, that vibe. And I'm like, no, I was an emotional wreck.
That's right. I remember you saying that. Yes, yes.
I was like, I even made a post. I was like really emotional. And I was like, guys, I'm gonna have to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna see me for a minute.
Yeah.
Autumn has wrecked me. I apologize to everybody who is about to read this, because if I'm feeling this, I know you will.
Right, right.
So, um, but I was like, okay, we need to take a pause. Just take a pause. Um, but I've recently tried picking up crowdfunding for summer, and again, it's not getting anywhere. I don't know. I think I just suck at marketing in general. I can crank out stories, but I suck at marketing myself.
Yeah, marketing is really tough. I think of the vast majority of writers struggle with it. The only reason I have a leg up is because number one, I've been doing it for a while, and number two, I work in marketing. I think that like
Mhm.
you pretty much have to have that combination to like,
Yes.
even kind of be ahead of the curve there. But yeah, no, that's amazing. I really appreciate you kind of describing, the creative journey there. I also noticed that both books are obviously linked in your bio to purchase.
Hmm.
And anybody listening to the podcast, they will also be linked in the show notes. So that's fantastic. Hopefully, some people will pick up some copies of those. So shifting focus to my next question here. Broadly speaking, you may have touched upon this already, but I wanted to hone in on it a bit further. What are some of kind of the core themes that readers can expect from your stories and your work? And I'm curious how those themes have evolved over the course of your life. How has your kind of like lived experience sort of informed the themes that show up in your stories?
So I know when I first started wanting to write, like seriously write, not just the first grader who said, "Mom, these are boring books. I want to write better ones."
Right.
Um, when I first started taking it seriously, I was really inspired by how there was like my dad always read like bedtime stories to us.
Mm-hmm.
Children's Book of Virtues, Aesop's Fables, Chronicles of Narnia.
Mm.
I enjoyed reading stories that felt like they had some weight,
Yeah.
like some meaning to it. Like there was
Hmm.
something to be learned. There was like a grain of truth inside the entertainment.
Okay. Yeah.
So I always wanted to write stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted my stuff to feel like it had a point. Like
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't just write things that were like, oh, just because I felt like it. But when I was really starting to focus in on it, which started with Nature Calls, which was literally showed up a few months in my brain after Eclipse started popping up. That one was I really needed some hope in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went from a relatively just kind of tense home environment to one minute it's like, yeah, we're moving
Mm.
again, even though we're not Navy anymore and we weren't supposed to move anymore. We're selling the house and we're moving across the country. And I was like, wait, what?
Mm.
So I'm feeling uprooted. So,
Yeah.
and we're packing the house up. But then my mom throws a bombshell on us. And she says, yeah, so your dad wants to move for his ministry thing, but I don't want to go. So I'm going to divorce him and you can stay with me.
Wow. That is a big bombshell. Wow.
She didn't tell him.
Oh man.
And so now I'm like, wait, I was really torn on who am I trusting? What is even happening? And then I come to find out from my dad, he found a 4-bedroom apartment in Southern California
Yeah.
after giving up a job opportunity that was right up the street from our house.
Mm.
Because apparently my mother told him she wanted to move near her family.
Yeah.
And his first piece of mail was the divorce papers.
Wow.
So yeah, I was not sure what was going on. I had no foundation anymore.
Yeah, that's pure
So
chaos. Yeah.
I felt adrift, and to this day remember I was sitting in the back of one of my mom's friends' trucks because she had made some new friends and they were helping us move to a townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just sitting in the back, and it's like drizzle rain,
Mm-hmm.
and I just looked up at the sky. I was exhausted, and for some reason, I just was like, "It's gonna be okay, Rain.
Mm.
It's gonna be okay." And my mom's friend's daughter, who was kind of an acquaintance, was like, "Are you talking to the sky?" Like she's looking at me like, "Are you cracked?" Like,
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, no, his name is Rain. And
Mm.
she was like, what? And it occurred to me I felt something there.
Mm.
Like I felt like this guy was crying for me.
Right.
And suddenly this character starts short forming in my head, and his name is Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like some embodiment of precipitation, and he's just wanting to take the pain away. Like he wishes he could wash it away. He wishes he could make this better. And I'm like, I greatly appreciate that, but I don't want you to be sad either.
Mm. Wow, that's
And
powerful. Yeah.
then I'm like starting to realize I'm really drawing strength from nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I started sitting under trees.
Mm. Okay.
And I would vent or I would rant or I would ground myself. Like I'm not wearing shoes, obviously. I'm trying to really like ground myself
Yeah.
because I'm emotionally all over the place. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 16, angry, all that stuff. So um it started evolving further and I'm making my own fairy tale.
Mm.
So and then I'm realizing like, okay, stories can guide people. They can
Mm-hmm.
be that lantern when you're in that valley of shadow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And so I decided when I'm writing, I want to create that lantern of light for
Mm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when the third story, which came again a few months later,
Yeah.
that one had a less than happy occurrence. I already had a shattered worldview. I got assaulted in my front door,
Oh, wow.
and the door is open and no one's coming to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is another layer of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was so angry. I just wrote out a story about this princess that gets like she's in this really crappy situation. Like the law is demanding she has to go through this procedure, but the people that are doing the procedure are there to get her out of it. And she's like, wait a minute. What? Huh? Back up. Why are you trying to seduce me? What in the world? And so she runs away from home, and her father is very confused because he's thinking like his hands are tied, he has to obey the law.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's evaded it all these years, and now they're making basically, the Pied Piper's coming to collect, right? And he can't do anything. And so she runs away from home. Now, mind you, this was never supposed to be going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it printed out and I showed it to my cousin during a trip to visit my dad. And this is where I found out that I can't get high because my cousin has a cloud
Mm-hmm.
in her apartment
Yeah.
and nothing's happening. I'm watching everyone spiral around me. My sister dive bombed into the kitchen and was eating everything in sight. My cousin's zenned out on the couch,
Mm.
and her buddies are all chilled out and they're just looking at me like I'm some impressive person because I have it together and I'm watching the kids. But one of her friends finds my this short that I wrote, and he's like, "This is awesome." And I went, "Really?" So I started fleshing it out, and it turned into the prologue, which to this day, that is the prologue is just a cleaned up version of what I wrote for
Mm.
Artemis.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But it was the whole premise was that this princess is on the run. She doesn't know who to trust.
Mm-hmm.
She's clearly been through some trauma, and she feels like everybody's out to get her, and so she has to learn how to trust people so that she can get the answers she needs.
Mm-hmm.
But the world's also in turmoil.
Right.
Like we're looking at a civil war is brewing,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and she's at the epicenter of all of it. So that's where the Decatheon saga came from.
Okay.
And that one again, it's you people go through so much in life, but how do you come out the other end?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Like the three two like main characters that you're following, all of them have been through something,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all processing it differently.
Mm.
and how their actions affect other people and the consequences of their actions is the fallout of the plotline.
Hmm.
And those are the triad sagas, as I call them, the first three planets of my imaginings universe. Um, that I have the most development in. But yeah, like they all were revolving around either I don't know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
how do I figure it out, which was ultimately what Eclipse became. And then like Nature Calls is I feel lost and disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Where are my roots?
Mm-hmm.
And Dodecatheon was we don't have to be the product of what's happened to us. We can control what we do after, but we don't have to be defined by it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrote it to Greek mythology.
Interesting. Wow, that's incredible. I love there's so many things I love about your answer just now there because it's like in particular I wanted to call out the fact that, in your life at the time you had a complete lack of stability, I think is a fair way to describe it. And
Oh
so
yeah.
you created that stability in the
Hmm.
form of fiction of these worlds. And then from there, as you kind of continue to describe some of the themes and some of the characters and stuff, it really sounds to me like it's obviously fantasy, but it's a very grounded fantasy in the sense that it's extremely relatable, which I think
Hmm.
is just really, really interesting. And I can see now, having heard your answer, I can see now how finishing a draft for you is like, it's like this, you have been drained of all your emotional
Yeah.
energy, right? And yeah, I could imagine needing a break after that. Wow.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, I still can't read the last two chapters of Artemis without crying.
Yeah, that's heavy, but in a good way. Like I feel like
Oh God,
that's
yes.
that's the kind of storytelling that resonates, right? Like that's the
Hmm.
thing you can really connect with. Um, you mentioned I was going to ask you about this later, but I might just ask you about it now since we're already talking about it. You mentioned your imaginings universe, I think is what you called it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So could you, for people who are just hearing all this for the first time, could you give us kind of an overview of what that universe is and how it sort of ties your stories together?
Certainly. So I have a little call sign with the Imaginings universe. Uh, Demiurge, duality, and dragons.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what I write about stems out of the sense of dualism. I am an omniist pagan, as I've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, and I do like to try and write stuff that's rooted in that kind of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
But duality in that there is light and shadow, there is chaos and order, there is like these two energies that coexist beside each other, but also within each other. Like they have to define each other.
Mm-hmm.
Those paradoxal things, like they cannot exist one without the other.
Right.
Um, not to mention, I'm with me and my dragons, like all the I actually have like an altar to dragons myself. Because that was one of the things that I felt called to me when I was doing my path was I was like, why am I always drawn to dragons?
Yeah.
And so I actually did a lot of like soul searching and I found out about like the lore and actual like historical relevance of what dragons are
Mm-hmm.
in like folklore and mythology and history. They usually are catalysts of massive change. Their destructiveness usually was tied to massive change in history. A lot of cultures, they all have their flood myths. A lot of them are stemmed around a dragon descending from the heavens, causing this huge cataclysm.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they also are like the vein of like the ley lines. Like in China, they believe that the dragons formed the five great rivers that fed like all the drought that was like the people are dying because the
Mm-hmm.
gods were not giving them enough rain. So the dragons brought water from the heavens to save them.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got like this duality of existence, like they are forces of great power, but they also can be like for sense of order, like they can channel things one or the other. So that's where like a lot of the duality coming into, but also a lot of lore says that dragons come from like the stars.
Mm-hmm.
They're these beings. So and it's my solar system, like this cosmic idea of a dragon. Um, these like because they say we've got ley lines on the planet, but there's actual ley lines in the cosmos as well.
Mm-hmm.
I often am like they're like they travel along these ley lines. That's where like the dragons come from and things like that. Um, but demiurge is the Greek word for architect.
Okay.
The ancient Greeks actually believed that the universe had like this divine architecture that was put into it, like this divine intelligence that actually shaped things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they say, the demiurge. It's like this great architect.
Okay.
So I consider myself like this architect of worlds that I'm building, and they're all revolving around my solar star, which is where my solar demiurge resides at the core of this universe of worlds. And the the more stories I develop, like the closer they are to my heart is like how close they are to my star.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I actually were trying to come up with designs for how they would look because we thought it'd be really cool if we could make patches
Yeah.
of what like, oh, this is what the world of Eclipse looks like, or this is the world of Nature Calls, or this is this world, and you could have like your own unique little patch to like if you really like this story, you can have like a sticker or something like that, so you can like brag about it.
Mm.
Ironically, Solar Order is a lot like Jupiter in that it's got like all these freaking little moons around it. Because of all the extra like it's its own like planets inside of that world.
Mm.
Um like each world I end up giving it its own name. And it like I said it has a life of its own. I've got so many of these worlds. Like it wasn't just the Triad sagas. I have the Revival sagas, which actually came about when I was in college, my first time around. The first one was a vampire story that I was dared
Mm.
to write. So I'm gonna date myself. Back when I was in my first run at college, I was on Gaia Online.
Mm.
And I had a forum that we were role playing on, and one of the guys that I was role playing with, we would write these like little like original stories we would write, and he was like, "You write books," and I'm like, "How did you know?" And he was like, "Fine, write a vampire story that's better than Twilight," and I went, "That's not hard," and he was like, "You can only write 500 word chapters."
Oh no.
I went, "You son of a bitch." He's like, "Ha! There's your challenge." So I think I got to like 110 or 12 before I finally went, "Wait a minute, you don't have to keep writing 500 word chapters, you numbskull." You're not 19 anymore. You can actually write this as a book.
Right, right.
And that one became Thicker Than Blood,
Mm.
which I was actually researching vampire lore from around the world, but I also wanted it to parallel with history. Because, of
Okay.
course, how much lore ties back to actual historical figures with vampires? You've
Mm-hmm.
got Elizabeth Bathory, Vlad Dracul III, like all these people in history that are actually thought to have been vampires. And I was
Right.
like, well, what if I actually tried to make it feel like vampires existed in our world? They've just found a way to integrate themselves where they're not getting hunted.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
So the whole plot revolved around these two sisters, Mary and Mara Black. Um, they were separated when they were children.
Mm-hmm.
Mara was kidnapped by a mysterious figure that broke into their window. And Mary was like, she just gotten up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and she just hears this noise, this crash of glass in her room, and she comes running back, and her sister has just been snatched up by this figure who's jumping out of the window into
Mm.
the night, and she's just shell shocked. Um, so she'd always been like hoping she could find her sister one day, but there were never any leads. They had no idea where she could have gone. And then 10 years later, on her 18th birthday, her house is assaulted by these monsters that are like the only thing that they kept saying like where is the child, where is the child, and she's terrified, and so her parents sent her away, and her dad gave her the only thing her dad could give her was this piece of paper that had a formula on it, and he was like, "Get out of here, go,
Mm-hmm.
they're coming for you." And so she's on the run, and she finds out that this little supplemental medicine her dad always gave her. And
Mm-hmm.
so she has to find a chemist to help her find it. Now, again, I'm probably dating myself. She had to get on forums, back in the day to
Right.
find somebody that could help her recreate this. And she finds a chemist in America
Mm-hmm.
because she's from like Rutland, England.
Mm.
And this guy is like curious, like he saw her post before it got taken down because obviously it's a weird ass post. And he reached out to her and he was like, "So, what is this about? You need a chemist to reverse engineer something for you?" And she's like, "It's medicine for me.
Mm.
My dad made it, but my dad just died, and I don't know anybody who can help me with this."
Mm.
So he's a business owner, and so he's willing to like help her get to America
Mm-hmm.
and see if he can break this down for her. So she's like, "Yeah, I have my passport. I have those things. I can get there." So what she doesn't realize is that he's paraplegic.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he has a degree in chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
but he manages a pizza parlor with his best friend.
What a combo.
Yeah, right. So he's like, "Okay, cool. Let me see if I can help you with this." And she's just crashing on his couch.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up figuring out what to do, and he finally figures out how this works. And he's like, "Oh my God, this is a complex formula. Like, wow." And he makes a batch because it actually, once he broke it down, it actually is like a recipe.
Hmm.
And once he gives it to her from the first batch that he made, she goes from looking at like this like her skin is so haggard, like she's pale, like gray skin, her hair is straw, like she does not look well, to suddenly her skin is looking so clear, her hair looks like golden silk.
Hmm.
Like she looks absolutely like like perfectly healthy
Mm-hmm.
after she has this, after like a few moments. And they're like, okay, so you need this. And they broker a deal. If you wash dishes at my business and instead of paying me rent, I'll keep making your serum for you. So now she has a place that she can like set up base while she searches for her sister because now she just wants revenge for what happened. But she's realizing that now that she's back up to steam, she's got some powers that she didn't know about. And so she's like, "Oh, wait, am I a monster?
Hmm.
Is that why they were after me?" So she ends up having to do this investigating and she ends up finding this like network of vampires that they have these nightclubs. They're kind of like speakeasies
Mm-hmm.
where people basically are on tap.
Hmm.
Like instead of donating blood, like they give like a certain amount of blood like on tap for vampires to drink. Instead
Hmm.
of chasing humans down, they've turned them into taps.
Wow.
And they're
Wow.
getting paid, they're being well compensated because of course
Yeah.
they want good quality blood, but they're like, yeah, they've got these speakeasies all over Europe.
Hmm.
And she finds some and somebody gives her like a lead to the Carpathian Mountains, which is where this benefactor usually sends word, and they ship some bottled blood and good like really nice chilled bottled blood back to this place in the Carpathian Mountains. So that's where the main story starts, is that she's following a lead
Hmm.
after her 21st birthday.
Hmm.
And she is like, "Okay, I'm in the Carpathians. This is one, it's a gorgeous place. It's
Yeah.
just a beautiful place." But she comes across this wolf. It's a huge wolf
Mm-hmm.
that leads her to the base of the mountains where she finds these like runish looking symbols on the wall. And when she tries to study them, the whole thing collapses and a vampire falls out.
Oh, wow.
And so now she's basically stuck with this vampire guy that, like, he's relatively nice to talk to. And she's like, "Okay, so I can actually get some insight on what vampires are like. Like, you can actually, like, help me." And he's like, "Well, you saved my life. So, yeah, I'm indebted to you, Lady Mary." And she's like, "Oh, God, please don't call me that." So, she has a vassal without intending to have one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so now poor Wes, the chemist guy, has to make double the of serum because it's like it's like synthetic blood.
Okay. Right. Right.
And this is where her lead is in the Carpathians is this castle
Mm-hmm.
where her sister actually has been all these years.
Mm.
But she's being treated like a princess. And she's a brat. Yes. Oh my God. The people were always like, God, I hate Mara. And I'm like, well, she has amnesia and she's been like catered to, and everybody's like always scared of her. So yeah, she's a brat.
Fair. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
so the whole it's like this dual running like protagonist, like both of them have their own plots going on running side by side was the
Mm-hmm.
whole premise of it. And it's like, how do we get these sisters together? Um, is like the whole driving force. And of course, you have to figure out why was Mara taken? What is Mary's role? Why are they after them? All around her, just trying to balance her life as a pizza kitchen dishwasher and her two guy friends that are her only friends she has.
Mm, mm,
So yeah, it's really fun how much research was going into that. The only reason it hasn't gone very far is that I'm actually trying to get proper Old English
mm-hmm.
for some of the other vampires because there's Old English and then there's like some like actual like Slavic dialect that I was trying to iron out. So it's one of the reasons why it hasn't been published yet. And I don't know anybody who can help me iron it out that isn't just into Shakespearean English,
Mm,
which is what I was writing. And I was like, they're not in England though. They're in Romania, and I need like what they would be speaking.
mm, mm.
So, but for what it is, that was the first story that got put on Inkitt, ironically.
Mm,
And I got a review. The first review I got on it was 5 stars, and they were like, "Why isn't this on shelves yet?"
yeah, yeah.
And I cried hysterically because we had literally just lost my wife's grandfather
Mm,
earlier that month,
mm-hmm.
and it's saying I get my first review ever on Inkitt, and I'm like, "Honey, I need you to hold my hand. I know
Yeah.
you're emotional right now, but I'm. If this is not a good review, I need you to hold my hand." And so she opened it and read it, and she went, "Honey, I think you're gonna be okay."
Mm, mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I was like, that was when I knew, okay, stop doubting yourself, to start putting stuff out.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like when I really was deciding, okay, it's time to start sharing this stuff. Because clearly you're not the oddball, you just have original ideas.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, everything I'm hearing is very unique and original. And also, like I said, very relatable. Very, very like, it's fantasy, but it's grounded.
Hmm.
In very kind of, I guess you could say, human themes, or at least themes that kind of reflect the human experience,
Hmm.
to an extent. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have any plans to move that one? It was called Thicker Than Blood, right? Is what you said?
Yep, thicker than Blood Saga, yes.
Do you have plans to move that over to Substack at any point? You said it was on Inkit now, right?
Yes. So all of the stuff that's free to read on Inkit, it's kind of is easier for me to keep it there.
Okay,
Of course, I always link stuff to read it because I was like, it is free to read. You can read this on a web browser on your phone. There's an app that Inkit has that's free to use. Um, not to mention, I wholeheartedly try to support Inkit.
sure.
It was actually started by 20 college students in
Wow.
Germany.
Hmm.
Half of them were writers, half of them were editors, and they were like, "We want to revolutionize the publishing industry because there's a lot
Right.
of independent like writers that they had no platform to really be working off of."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I believe they launched in 2015.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I always love like supporting them. Like I don't want to pull myself off there. Like I thoroughly enjoy what they do, what their mission is. Again, I just don't know that my stuff will thrive there because it's not this is one thing I learned is that people have expectations
Right.
about certain genres, certain platforms they're on. Um and oftentimes because my stuff is so original, I feel like it doesn't really fit those expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why I love to say that I love writing love stories,
Yeah.
but I'm not comfortable saying I write romance
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because romance as a genre
Mm-hmm.
has expectations that people are looking for. And because of how I write things, I don't write tropes.
Right.
I write character arcs.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying it's very human experience because I rooted a lot of what I do in the hero's journey, the writer's journey, Christopher Vogler's book,
Yeah.
which reflects the hero's journey that was oh dear God, the hero of a thousand faces, God, my mythic storytelling hero, and I can't think of his name right now. Where is your name? Uh oh, Joseph Campbell. Duh.
Okay. Right. Yes. Okay.
Joseph Campbell. Yeah, oh my God. When I found him when I was in college, because I was going for a theater degree, hence where I come from a theatrical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we did was we were breaking down how to analyze storytelling.
Mm.
And I got The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler, who's breaking down Joseph Campbell's process.
Mm.
And I highly always recommend it to anybody who wants to write fantasy
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't just explain where the hero's journey is coming from. It also explains why Hollywood has been using it, why it's in like everything, and
Right.
why it's so relatable. Like my wife and I call we call it modern mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, The
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
How many people swear by this like it's their religion?
Yeah. True.
Because it's mythology.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it follows the exact same premises that the ancient Greeks were using, that you find in the Nordic sagas,
Yeah.
Germanic fairy tales. Like it's the same type of archetypes and storytelling that has been passed down in the human since we were around the campfire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Joseph Campbell just was the first to actually, I think, really break it down with an analysis.
Hmm.
Which ironically my wife always teases. She's like, I think you might be Joseph Campbell reincarnated. And I went, how do you figure that? Look up when he died. And I was like, oh. Um, but yeah, like I love the idea that the reason people are so attached to story now
Mm-hmm.
is because of this idea that it's like a new mythology.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, things that we place faith in. Guillermo del Toro talks about why fairy tales used to explain things we didn't understand, like the weather or
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But
Yeah.
now we use monsters and fairy tales to explain the human condition, hence where horror in the modern sense comes from. We're
Mm.
trying to understand the human psyche that we don't quite grasp. So we have to put it into the story, and it usually comes across as this horrific, grotesque thing, but we're fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, these are types of folklore, fairy tales, or mythos,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it is. It helps us understand these aspects of human nature that baffle us. And
Mm-hmm.
story has been the ancient form of like expressing that people connect to. We don't have to have the exact answer, but it just clicks.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the things that I really enjoyed after reading the writer's journey and getting into Joseph Campbell, that I really was trying to capture as a writer,
Mm-hmm.
is capturing that human connection, that human condition that we all connect to reach a more general audience. Because I
Mm-hmm.
do enjoy the idea that while yes, you have a target audience you're trying to aim for, we can write stories that everybody can enjoy.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what I would love to do. I like being more inclusive than exclusive with
Yeah.
my writing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I know somebody was talking to me about diversity in my stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's diverse already. I don't need a sensitivity reader to tell me that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, how do you figure? And I'm like, well, how I literally got a review saying, how did you bring different faiths together and not make one of them feel lesser than the other?
Mm.
And I'm like, well, one, I'm an omnist, so I
Mm.
feel that all of you are valid.
Right.
Two, human beings are complex.
Mm-hmm.
So how you see the world and how I see the world, we are seeing the same world, but our organic computer, that is our brain, has a processor that connects us to that world the way we're meant to.
Right.
So for some people, they see that as like they go to church, they go to chapel, they go to these things. For other people, as I love from Emily Dickinson, I go to church in my backyard.
Mm. Yeah.
Instead of trying to get to heaven, I've been there all along. Like
Right.
she feels God in creation, which is something that is there. Like even the ancients were like, creation is divine. So I'm like, if we can just look at it like everybody is existing in the same world, just processing it the way that they connect to it, that is how it explains why we have all these different religions that still have core values.
Mm-hmm.
Where everything gets all muddled is where we get into like the ceremony and the specific rituals and things like that. But at their core, faith is supposed to make you a better person. It's supposed to make you, it helps you get up out of bed every morning. What do you believe in that grounds you? Like
Mm-hmm.
I actually had an atheist friend that we had this discussion, and he was talking about how, faith isn't real and things like that. And I was like, well, first of all, what do you think faith is?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, and he kept talking about religion. And I was like, well, first of all, faith is defined as absolute belief without doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay. I was like, do you believe that if you jump up in the air, you will come back down to the ground? He's like, well, yeah. Why do you think that? Because of gravity. Can you prove gravity exists?
Mm.
Well, we can replicate it. And I was like, but can you show me gravity?
Mm-hmm.
Can you show me why our planet isn't just flinging off away from our star?
Yeah.
You believe in gravity. You have utmost faith in gravity. You have faith that if you take a deep breath, you're going to get oxygen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, you're right. I was like, that's faith.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a spiritual aspect. You have a very logical perspective on faith, and it's valid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me like, okay, you sold me. I was like, it's nothing to be sold on. You just need to understand that you're not invalued.
Mm-hmm.
So why you don't need to invalue somebody else just because that's not how you see the world.
Right. Yeah.
And we know neurodivergency has proven that we do not all experience the world the same way.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
And as somebody who is neurodivergent, I am gifted twice exceptional. I have giftedness with ADHD. So my brain thinks in complexities, hence where storytelling tends to be a bit more layered for me.
Sure.
Um, but I also see faith layered. Like that's where I was able to connect all those complexities. And I find that fascinating. And I try to incorporate that in how I approach that diverse world, like how we see all these aspects of the world and put it into this story. That
Mm-hmm.
I think I've always seen stories as these characters are here to befriend you,
Mm-hmm.
or they're the people that you all want to get together and whisper about because you're like, God, he's a dick.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
characters you love to hate, right?
Right. Right. Right.
We
Yeah.
all write them. We all write them. We all do. But like that's where a character is. Like you're befriending this character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually the best compliment I ever got was from one of my friend's daughters that she gave Spring to her so she could read it. She said that she wanted Jamie and Flora to be her friends.
Mm. That's quite the endorsement. Yeah.
And she's in middle school.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I did my job. I did my job.
You did indeed. So next, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you've got going on Substack right now. Obviously, how long have you been on Substack, by the way? How long since you joined?
Funny story.
Yeah.
So I didn't create my Substack.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I was integrated from another platform,
Mm-hmm.
Clownfish TV. I've been following them since they were from YouTube, but they had their own thing where they had some more specialized podcasts that if $5 a month to help support them, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, they're a really interesting like Gen X husband and wife that I love listening to their pop culture stuff. Like
Sure.
they genuinely amuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, And so I was on their website that they were doing, but the website they decided they weren't going to keep that, and they decided to move to Substack.
Okay.
So they brought their subscribers over,
Mm-hmm.
and originally it wasn't paid, but I was like, no, I still want to be a paid person. I'm still supporting you guys.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up with my Substack, and I think that was back in May
Okay.
and of this year. And I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like, I had no idea what to do with this thing. I didn't even know what Substack was.
Right,
So
right.
I'm just over here like reading articles from Clownfish or listening to the podcast episodes that are unique for the Substack stuff. Um, really didn't know what to do with it until I get put on a project to co-author something with a certain somebody named Bradley Ramsey,
Right. Yep.
who starts telling me about this platform, and I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe he can help me make sense of this.
That's
So he's
right.
a really
Yeah.
cool guy. You should get to know him.
He sounds
Um,
great.
yeah. So ultimately, because I wasn't really thinking about transitioning my stuff off of Inkit,
Right.
I know we had discussed, well, what can I do here?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a podcast, my Hearth of a Writer podcast on Spotify,
Yeah.
which was not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I think it had to do with expectations of the platform.
Sure. Yeah.
Because Hearth of a Writer is where I read a chapter from my books every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I started with published work, so I'm like, I'm not giving these away for free.
Mm-hmm.
I have these are published things. So I had it, I think it was like $4.99 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I got like two subscribers tops, and then both of them ended up falling off. But I read through all of Artemis of the Dodecatheon,
Mm-hmm.
and I read through all of Nature Calls Spring.
Mm.
And then I did a poll asking like, do you guys want me to do like one of my other Inkit titles? And I realized that that was not great what they voted on because I was like, yeah, I forgot the plot hole that you guys didn't remind me about. So I just stopped recording those, even though I think I was about halfway through that book.
Yeah.
That was To Cross the Divide, which was my Asian mythology story.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
Which the inspiration for that one came from my love of anime,
Okay. Yeah.
specifically supernaturally leaning anime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I loved like how they approached the supernatural, like it exists, and they're just kind of like, yeah, it's here. We're not doing nothing about it.
Right.
The only time they do something is when like they're asking, like, okay, I really would like my quality of life to be better. Can I ask a priest to please do something about it? But otherwise, they're just kind of like, yeah, that house is haunted. We're not dealing with it.
Mm.
Like they're like, yep, you live here now. um like I enjoyed like their approach to like yokai and things like that, like because yokai are essentially the folklore of Japan. Like I know
Right.
some people get a little uppity about it. They're like, yokai are not fae, and I'm like, yes they are.
Mm-hmm.
The word fae is preternatural creatures.
Mm-hmm.
That's what yokai are. It's in the definition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now I am Ren Fair, so I do run in the Fae circles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a person who writes from this perspective, I love pointing out to people, no, this is just the fairy tales of like Asia.
Right. Right.
Um, so that's where I tried coming up with a story, but it also was I was trying to write romance.
Mm-hmm.
And we've mentioned this. I don't claim to be a romance writer. So
Right.
I'm trying to write these tropes and I'm sucking at it. And I completely forgot about this like dead end that I didn't finish fleshing out.
Mm-hmm.
The book itself got to the final chapter, like the core story's there, but I had like this loose end in like the human side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had, of course, fleshed out the non-humans.
Right.
I have Shinigami,
Mm.
I have a Tenyo and a Tenin. I
Mm-hmm.
have an old soul who reincarnates with all of his memories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's an old woman, Baba Yoba.
Mm-hmm.
Basically it's the old woman in the mountains.
Right.
Who's like this witch.
Mm-hmm.
And her little kitsune that follows her around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I have all these awesome like supernatural stuff, but I completely forgot. gotta develop the humans too. So like they're there, but they're really like they're very empty chapters, and I'm like, I cannot read this out loud with confidence for the world.
Yeah. Yeah, right, right.
So so I stopped halfway through on To Cross the Divine, the first book.
Hmm.
Um, but I just brought that to a halt. And so I decided after talking with you, I want to try and bring Hearth of Rider back.
Hmm.
However, I want to do it with a different title,
Hmm.
which is the reason I'm going after it is because I got approached by from artists on Inkit that they enjoyed my storytelling because they're like, this is very cinematic.
Hmm.
Like these are very vivid images. I would love to like bring this to life. And of
Hmm.
course, I think we have talked, I haven't mentioned it on here yet, but
Yeah.
I'm a huge person, I'm big into trans media,
Hmm.
not just because I'm trans. But I like the idea of stories transcending their original form. Now,
Hmm.
mind you, of course, I'm writing stories, right? These are novels,
Yeah.
but not everybody can read a novel. My
Hmm.
wife has dyslexia,
Hmm. Hmm.
but she loves graphic novels. She loves video games.
Right.
She likes interactive, like when Netflix had those interactive TV shows where you could choose your own
Yeah.
what you're doing. We went through all of them.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so like I was thinking about like, well, again, I have a universe.
Hmm.
I have the world. I can decide how they reincarnate, right?
Hmm.
How they're perceived, how they're accepted. So I decided, okay, well, I guess my first thing I tried to do was the audio versions, of course, of me reading.
Hmm.
But then now I'm like, okay, graphics. One of them is doing Thicker Than Blood.
Hmm.
The other artist is doing Legacy of the Solar Order, which is my young adult Greek mythology story.
Hmm.
That one also is a funny story. It's like I think it's the youngest revival story actually.
Hmm.
Because it when I was going to the Art Institute, that was my second run at college. Uh, some friends of mine were on the internet before class, and they were looking at these gender bent pictures of the Sailor Scouts from Sailor Moon,
Right.
and they're dressed as like aristocrats,
Hmm.
like like the regalia with like medals and like special bow ties and tuxedo looking stuff, white glove stuff. And I was
Hmm.
like, I might have actually enjoyed Sailor Moon if it was about a guy. And of course I got hit with blasphemy, right?
Right.
And then someone had the audacity to say, let's see you write better.
Oh, there you go.
Two of the people in the group went, don't say that.
Yeah.
You don't know Jaden. You don't know him. And she was like, nah. So I went, bet. So I wrote up a character profile, which I've been doing character profiles since I was doing online role play.
Hmm.
So I was actually building world Bibles and character Bibles before I knew what they were.
Right, right.
My professors were very upset because it was like, I have nothing to teach you,
Mm.
and I have to give you a grade. And I was like, meh. But I wrote up a character profile for a character called the Lunar Knight.
Hmm.
His powers revolved around the Moonstone,
Mm.
which is an embodiment of magic that is transmutive in nature.
Hmm.
And he is surrounded by his inner circle of knights, and then the outer circle of knights had other duties to do. But the inner circle primarily focused on the core of the Solar Order's mission, which was to help seal chaos from where it had seeped into the world. Which chaos from Greek mythology is literally the entity of chaos, like all
Hmm.
things possible, which cannot exist. So it has a physical cap, which is Gaia, like Gaia's physical form is a physical barrier to chaos. And then Tartarus formed after her, which is an energy cap.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, oh, yes, can you tell I know my mythology? But in this story, there are breaches, and somehow chaos got out into the world.
Mm.
Now, chaos is infinite, the infinite. it cannot coexist next to the finite because obviously the finite will unravel.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why the Solar Order was originally founded. They are deities of the gods
Hmm.
who came to Earth as heroes to try and save humanity because humanity absolutely cannot coexist next to chaos.
Right.
It drives them crazy. It offers great gifts, but it comes at a cost.
Mm.
So they're trying to reseal chaos. That was the original purpose. But something happened a very long time ago, and the order vanished. And the story takes up with chapter one with these young men that are the new knights that are as goofy as any, freshman in high school normally is. Bunch of freshman boys who are like from all over the place. Only two of them know each other. The other two are like, who the crap are these people? Like, I have to put up with your shenanigans? What even? Because there's Skylar and Matt are like neighbors. They're in the same neighborhood. And they end up getting scholarships to go to this academy that's off the coast, off the Atlantic coast, Neo Atlantic Academy.
Hmm.
And they meet these two other guys. There's Jared, who's from West Texas, and then there's Masego, who's from Central Africa.
Hmm.
Both of them got invited to come and join the freshman class at Neo Atlantic, and they all get roped into becoming knights because they accidentally hatched a black dragon. And by they, I mean Skylar did.
Right.
And they all touched the egg. So now they can all see these black clouds that are all over their campus. And they're like, what in the hell? So I loved the shenanigans with this one because I was heavily influenced by Avatar and Voltron, the Legendary Defender. Like the gags that they're constantly like, oh crap, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? But I also was like wanting to do a Greek mythology story.
Hmm.
The best compliment I got on that one was on Inkit, where they said, I feel like I'm reading Percy Jackson.
Oh, nice.
And I
Yeah.
went, I have made it.
That's a good compliment.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that one is what I'm gonna start reading for Hearth of a Writer.
Okay.
Uh, I'm really proud of it because unlike it has some similarities. Obviously, I took some inspiration from Sailor Moon, but I wanted this to be more rooted in Greek mythology, whereas the mangaka took inspiration from Greek mythology, but it really was more rooted in Asian mythology.
Hmm. Hmm.
Obviously so. Hence where who didn't enjoy it as a kid?
Right.
Because my favorite Greek myth is Selene and Endymion,
Mm.
the moon lover. Um, and of course, I'm seeing that this is poorly represented in this
Right.
anime.
Right.
But at the same time, I loved the story of the moon rabbit
Hmm.
from Japan
Hmm.
because I lived there as a kid when my dad was stationed there for 2.5 years. So
Hmm.
I actually was exposed to Japanese mythology, and I love the Moon Princess myth. That's their Thumbelina story. Um, And I love the moon rabbit that sacrifices himself because it's the only he can't offer anything to this mysterious traveler. Everybody else brought a gift, but he's just this little rabbit. So he's like, "Well, I can offer myself so that I can nourish you. Like I have nothing to offer but myself." And then they find out that this traveler is a god
Mm.
who accepts the gift, but he also revives the rabbit and says, "You gave the greatest gift." So he sends the rabbit up to the moon, and the rabbit makes like the mochi for the gods.
Wow. I love that.
Like they actually believe, because some people believe you see the old man in the moon, which
Right.
they're talking about. I've seen the silhouette, but in Asia they see a rabbit
Interesting. Okay.
with a mallet.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Okay.
that's where they believe there's a rabbit up there making moon rabbit mochi.
Mm. I love
Yeah.
that.
So again, a lot of this stemmed out of what was inspiring Sailor Moon.
Okay.
But I wanted to make my own spin on things, and I wanted it to be more Greek mythology rooted.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's what people have to look forward to. That the comics that I'm having drawn, um, we're gonna I'm gonna have those posted up. I'm trying to figure out what schedule to do just yet.
Hmm.
But there are full color pages that I will be offering for people who subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
so that they can follow these two stories. Now, I'm leaving this up to the artists who are adapting it.
Yeah.
I'm actually like, this is a collaboration. I wrote the story, but this is how you're envisioning it. I want to see you bring this out. I want to see your style come through,
Right.
which is how I want my transmedia to work.
Sure.
Obviously, I am not an animator.
Yeah.
So if an animation studio wants to do one of my stories, which I've often debated having music videos, movies made of a clips,
Yeah.
instead of it being like, I'm not, have you seen the Daft Punk anime movie?
I've seen the trailer for it. I haven't seen the
Okay,
actual film, but
so
yeah.
there's no words.
Right. Yeah.
It's a
I remember.
giant music video movie.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
was thinking that would make an incredible like thing to adapt to clips for because it's a very emotional story
Yeah.
and you're watching these things and you're experiencing the music and the emoting
Mm-hmm.
that way
Yeah.
to adapt it that way. That was something that I've been tossing around. But also I love the idea of video games. The woman who actually gave me the money to publish Artemis was working with Sony. Like she was somebody who helped clean up code for video games.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "So, hear me out. Video game for Dodecatheon?" I was like, "I've already been thinking about it." And she's like, "Talk to me."
Man, I would play that so fast, especially knowing that your writing's behind it.
So, oh, and the cool part was I pitched this to one of my gamer friends,
Yeah.
and he looked at me like,
Yeah.
because there's three modes. I want three modes in the game.
Uh-huh.
One is a normal playthrough,
Yep.
which will play out kind of like an RPG.
Sure.
Obviously you engage with your battles and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's also like a political intrigue to it because you're trying to dabble with the incident that's happened.
Yeah.
And your decisions on how you play out will give you a different ending.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a hard mode where if you die, you lose a skill and you
Okay.
can never get it back.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you make a sacrifice to
Yeah.
revive yourself.
Interesting. I like that. That's a cool mechanic.
Also, in these games, you start the game by making a decision based off of the Loom of Fate.
Oh, okay.
The Mirai sisters, literally, you're with them and you're like, choose your thread.
Mm-hmm.
For people who've played Kingdom Hearts, in
Right.
the original one, you have to pick from the stained glass windows
Yeah.
to find out what type of character Sora is going to be.
Right.
This is a similar aspect. You'll end up with, are you playing as a male or a female character?
Mm-hmm.
What race are you?
Mm-hmm.
What class are you?
Yep.
You'll be a different character
Mm.
who's coming from a different part of the story.
Interesting. Okay.
So you'll learn the whole story coming from their angle
Right. Right. Right.
and how your character can shape the event. Like,
Interesting.
so, and that's where I was like, this could be and literally he's staring at me like,
Yeah.
please. But there's an easy mode because, of course, not everybody is great with combat and things like that, and they get
Yeah.
frustrated.
Right.
So the easy mode is essentially a interactive novel.
Okay. Yeah.
So instead of dealing with the combat,
Mm-hmm.
you get like the cutscenes that are moving in between, and of course there'll be some filler to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
But you get to make the same decisions to move you through the game. You just won't have the combat aspect.
Mm. Okay.
So when I pitched this to my friend, she's looking at me like, "You've given this a lot of thought." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, in high school, actually it was middle school, I took a test on what type of job I should have based on my intelligence.
Yeah.
One of the options was video game writer.
That makes sense. Yep. I can
And
see
I
it.
loved RPGs,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
specifically JRPGs.
Yeah.
So I was like, heck yeah, I've always wanted to write a video game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely that one because there's multiple races, which you mentioned things that are on my Substack currently. I'm posting the Dodeca shorts,
Yep.
which are prequel stories to the Dodecatheon saga, because the Dodecatheon saga will be 12 novels,
Okay.
because each one will be named after one of the Divine 12 of Olympus.
Okay. Got it.
But to avoid flashbacks weighing down the plot,
Yeah.
because somebody actually told me it felt like they were, well, actually, somebody told me at work that it felt like Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
like how much is going into this. But then Gabriel Garcia read the first 6 chapters on his Wandering Scribe podcast,
Yeah.
and he compared it to The Witcher, and that just choked me up because I like The Witcher games.
Yeah, the Witcher games are phenomenal. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Granted, the author hates them.
Yeah, yeah, different, yeah.
Like I said, as an author, I'm willing to like back off and admit this is somebody's adaptation.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like being compared to The Witcher, which I know is homage to Polish folklore,
Exactly.
mythology.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Okay.
It's all
Thank
connecting.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Gabriel. And
Hmm.
I think he actually asked in one of our meetings, before our author meetings, he's like, I'm trying to make sure I give a good sell because one of my friends found it and they wanted to know if it's a good book. And I was like, Gabriel, you gave the best review I've ever had for
Yeah.
Artemis. You can't give it a bad like light. You
Right.
can't. And you've
Yeah.
only read the first 6 chapters. You never finished it. And he was like, yeah, I'm bad. I need to finish it. I was like, yeah. Um, but yeah, just the first 6 chapters, and he was already like, oh my. So the prequel stories though are the events that lead up to the main story.
Okay. Makes sense.
Some of them are direct ties. Like I know the first two, Selena File and Apollon Curse that are up, those are actually telling how two of the characters were born.
Okay.
And then how like their life leading up to the story.
Hmm.
Um, like because I know a lot of people were like, "Who the crap is Father Fallon?"
Right.
Like I still to this day, one of my best friends is a bibliophile. He slapped his beta file because he I gave him a digital copy of it and he printed it off so he could make edits. He slammed the binder down and he went, "Who the fuck is David?" And I went, You're just gonna have to keep reading." He's like, "Absolutely freaking not." And I was like, "Hold up, Marine, calm down." He's like, "Don't tell me to calm down. I need to know who that dude is." So I thought about it and I was like, maybe I should write some prequel stories so that instead of having to bog down with who this character is and where they came from, you can literally just find out where they came from.
Right, right.
I actually just posted today the second chapter of Apollon, the second installment of Apollon Curse, which was Marie Berger,
Hmm.
which I actually was going to reach out to you, but it took so long to edit the voiceover.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's why I didn't submit it to any of the prompts like to get featured because I was like, oh no, this is way too late.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's the first one that I feel like some people here on Substack. I've noticed we have a lot of horror and lovers.
Yep, that's true. Yeah. A lot of horror people, yeah.
Now while I am not, I wouldn't say I'm a horror writer. I do write dark fantasy.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because obviously, if you actually know mythology, it is dark.
Hmm. Yep.
And Dodecatheon is supposed to be the next chapter in Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was inspired by. If for people who aren't really familiar, the my most hated meme I've ever seen in my life is the book meme where it's got the big book and the little book,
Yeah.
and it says Greek mythology if Zeus kept it in his pants. And I literally went, no, no.
Oversimplification. Yeah.
Well, no, actually, it's Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Greek mythology, if Gaia castrated her husband instead of giving her son a weapon to do it for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how the family got cursed.
Right.
Which I'm like, madam. All 5 of your kids got cursed.
Yeah.
And then she won't own it. Like,
Mm.
and she just keeps making their lives miserable. And I'm like, you started this. Okay. But of course, that's what drives Cronus crazy is that his father cursed him and said, your son is gonna do what you've done to me.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that makes him go, oh crap. So any child he has, he eats.
Right. 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 Right.
The Mad Titan, which everyone forgets there's a whole lore back then. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's the 15-year Titanomachy when Zeus, because his mother actually, I guess, finally got tired of him eating her kids, and she tricked him into eating a stone
Mm-hmm.
instead of Zeus. And Zeus
Right.
gets like raised in a cave.
Right. Yeah.
And then he sneaks in and basically makes his dad have an epicac and throw up all his siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and starts the Titanomachy, which is the Titans versus the Olympians.
Right.
Which that is an epic civil war, which I technically allude to in Dodecatheon because some of those events do directly influence the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially the plot is that the Divine 12 had to make a sacrifice to save humanity.
Mm-hmm.
They incarnated as mortals,
Okay.
but they had to curse themselves to do it.
Mm.
And they sealed this by binding themselves to their Roman counterparts.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, this is back when a lot of the pagans were being wiped out if they didn't convert.
Mm-hmm.
Because the entire premise was if you destroy their sacred rites and you stop people from worshiping them, and you basically demify them so that nobody worships them anymore, the god is dead.
Mm. Right.
And actually, we have a general who literally kicked in the Temple of Delphi's door and ripped Pythia from her seat
Mm.
and then decimated like the actual shrine of Apollo and said Apollo is dead.
Mm.
So when people say they didn't actually try to wipe out the gods, they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention all of the Norse sacred sites that have literally been mowed over and a lot of places were buried. Um, this all sorts of like I one of my favorite ones my wife told me about because she actually is very into heathen faith, which is the Norse religion.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently there was a sacred city that one of the Christian uh kings like literally destroyed it and then built a cathedral on it.
Mm.
The Dane of the area, though, built a fortress basically across the street and aimed all the cannons at it
Oh wow.
and said, try something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, did they? And she's like, no, they didn't. And I went, oh, that's epic. So, and apparently that's where like the most sacred cathedral in Norway is.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, which if anybody is interested in a cool uh Norse like movie that actually reflects like pagan culture and like how history was affected, please go to Netflix and check out Troll.
Okay. I've seen
It
that one.
act-
Yeah, yeah.
this did you see the sequel yet?
No, yeah, no.
Go see the sequel. My wife and I are huge fans of it because it's literally when we say it's like they wrote from a pagan's perspective, but they're trying to make it feel historically accurate.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They did such a good job.
Nice. All right, I
Like it
gotta.
actually, and it pays homage to how the culture views it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I honestly is like that's the best reference you can do because you've got obviously the Christians, but you also have the ones who still have heathen roots. Like they're both equally represented.
Right.
But let's face it, this troll's pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You're not stopping a force of nature. Um, but yeah, I highly recommend that one because I don't enjoy a lot of modern stuff, but I will always talk something up if I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the whole Dodecatheon shorts. There are others that will eventually show up, but the latest one that I did, Murray Berger, is the first one that actually really dabbles in like that dark fantasy bordering on horror.
Okay.
Um, it's one of the darker things I've ever written.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I think you actually you heard the premise at the very beginning, like haunting horrors, start like founded the legacy of a hero,
Mm-hmm.
um, or they have fallen silent. So these are things that have been forgotten. That when we forget our history, it bites us in the ass, right?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's a huge theme in Dodecatheon.
Right.
So, yeah, Apollon Curse, the first one obviously revolves around the death of the previous dodecatheon Apollon, which Apollon is the Greek Apollo's actual name.
Okay.
But of course, everybody always calls him Apollo,
Mm-hmm.
but his actual Greek name was Apollon.
Mm.
So you find out like what happened, like he died. Something happened. And this leads to events leading into the main story, and this is the fallout leading to it.
Okay.
I posted the second installment, which whew, when I first wrote it, I was like, this is so dark. Are people gonna like this? They loved it.
Yeah.
And I went, okay. But I did preface like people who are not into like gruesome and like gory stuff. You can skip this one, no hard feelings.
Yeah.
But I also know I was purposely calling that out because I know there's a lot of people that we have here that love that stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So, there we have it. But I do intend to start shifting instead of posting those on Inkit, those will become Substack titles for me to
Okay,
write.
cool. Great.
Um, Now, mind you, I was doing some previously written ones because this time of year is a nightmare at my day job, which is more
Yeah.
of a night job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I work as a escape room game master,
Right.
and we are normally open at night.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
work when you're off.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
My weekends are Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've got weird hours. So writing time is odd, but I am trying to build a new schedule to write
Mm-hmm.
now,
Mm-hmm.
especially now that our move is finally done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. That was you were with me through
I
that.
followed along with that one. Yeah.
You were right there with me.
Yeah.
Um, but like we finally turn in our apartment keys on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And we are most I think all of the boxes are gone, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a cluster. Trying to organize things. Where is their new home? What is our new space like? Because it's definitely a different layout.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just navigating that new thing as a homeowner.
Right.
Uh, I enjoy that I have a space now, but I'm so pissed that I haven't found a way to sound dampen the street outside.
Yeah.
So I always feel bad because everybody's like, "Oh, your voiceover is so great," and I'm like, "But I hate that I hear cars in the background."
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand
I
that.
have
Yeah.
tried like controlling the noise gate, reducing background noise. It because it deafens my voice, it comes right back as soon as the volume comes up. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of like I have a mini split, which is what warms our office space over here because it's not connected to the house.
Right.
It's right above my computer.
Oh man.
It's the
Yeah.
only place we could hook it up to. And
Yeah.
my wife felt so bad. She's like, it's the only spot. Sorry,
Mm.
babe.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Ugh, whatever." But yeah, it's I have to figure out. I know I've been talking with you and some of our other friends about options to try and fix it. But until I figure that out, I'm hoping that people will accept my Hearth of a Writer with the quality that I can try and offer.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because I know for having worked as a DSP, direct service professional, I know how sound can affect people. It's
Mm-hmm.
another reason why I'm big into transmedia, is because I worked with intellectual and developmental disabilities individuals. Um, and one of the things all of them loved was stories.
Mm.
They loved when I would read to them.
Mm-hmm.
They loved when I would help them find movies to watch. A few times we would get a video game set up and they would play some like a simple video game. Um, they liked reading picture books
Mm-hmm.
because it was a simplified form of story for them to read on their own. Um, like just the fact that seeing the different forms of story was how they could connect was a huge reason why I really started trying to invest and get really into transmedia.
Mm.
Um, but it takes money to do that. So I'm hoping that Substack will help me afford to pay for the comics moving forward because like the fact that both these artists really enjoy the stories they're working on,
Mm-hmm.
Heck, the one who's working on Thicker Than Blood was like, I like Nature Calls too. Can we do one for that? And I was like, I have no money extra to give you.
Right.
But she actually did a sketch of Flora, one of the main characters, and I'm like, damn it, it's so cute.
Yeah.
Like I know her art style would be absolutely perfect to make a graphic novel of Nature Calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, if I can get enough subscribers to help finance that, I
Hmm.
also have my coffee page, which is where I'm trying to crowdfund to get Summer published, which
Right.
I did try crowdfunding it this past year. I had a really cool idea too. I even ran it by some friends, and they were like, "Oh, that's really cool. You're gonna tie it to the seasons." Because in spring, I let people read Nature Calls Spring for free back on Inkitt. Like I restored it in its full form in the published edited version, so that
Yeah.
people could read it on Inkitt for free for the entire from the spring equinox to the summer solstice.
Mm. Hmm.
And then when the summer solstice started, I launched the crowd fund because now we're summer. And it's like, let's help get summer published. I got one of my friends donated 25 bucks, and I'm so happy because that gave me 1%
Right.
of the 5 grand.
Right.
But
Right.
like I said, I just don't think I have a very good like social media like influencer presence. I'm far too country boy. Like I'm much better at person to person talking, which is where I've been told I interview great.
Yeah.
Like Gabriel has had 2, 3 interviews with me now,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he just loves sitting down and talking with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this I can do. The one-on-one stuff, or like even if I try, because I'm gonna try and do live streaming, one of my midweek check-ins. I'll like do one of those a month instead of doing a video. I'll just do a live stream.
Hmm.
Like I'm really good at this kind of personable like stream of conscious, just go where the wind blows us.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like a social media SEO savvy, no,
Right. Right. Yeah.
I'm not a computer.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and that's exactly why I wanted to have you on the show here because I feel like your writing is one of those things where you can forge very meaningful connections with readers. Even through like an interview like this, where it's like I feel like your work is incredibly good. It's just you have to kind of put in the effort to get people to kind of individually connect with it, and then the second they connect with it, they're hooked, right? Like that's how I
Right.
feel about your work, and I know a lot of other people as well. So yeah, I mean, it's marketing is one of those things where you got to find out what works for you, right? There are things that work in
Hmm.
general, but yeah, I think a strong approach that you could maybe latch on to is sort of finding opportunities like this where you can kind of just speak about your work
Hmm.
in a conversational setting because it really comes through, the uniqueness, the value of it, what you bring to the table, that all comes through very very clearly when you're talking about it like you are now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I'm really excited for people to get their ears on this episode, to hear about all this because, like I said, you really do sell it very well.
Well, I'm
Um,
glad.
no, it's really fantastic stuff. So, yeah, as we get towards the end of the interview here, wanted to kind of look towards the new year, 2026. You've already mentioned a few things, right? You've got your Dodecatheon stories that you're publishing on Substack. You mentioned the relaunch of the Hearth of a Writer podcast. Um, yeah, any other kind of big things people can look forward to in 2026, and specifically any kind of interesting sort of angles that you're taking for paid subscribers. You mentioned that a few times. I'm wondering if you could just kind of give us an overview of
Right.
that.
So, one of the other things that I'm doing is I'm trying a new type of podcast.
Hmm.
I'm calling it Ramblings of a Demiurge.
Hmm.
Hence, this thing seems to work for me, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm starting out with just talking about my process, how I've done things. Like I know one of my first one was my approach to the modern fairy tale, like how I'm taking fairy tales, like how they what they were intended, how they were fashioned, and bring that to a more modern setting, like a more
yeah,
contemporary approach to it, but it's still a fairy tale. Like I'm not writing Disney fairy tales. I'm not writing DreamWorks fairy tales.
yeah,
I'm trying to write something more traditionally rooted.
yeah,
Um, that was one of the earlier episodes. Right now, I'm doing a 3 part on Eclipse, ironically. Because back when I had a Patreon, which again, that was a failed attempt. I had this series called Mythic Storytelling
Mm-hmm.
for that was for paid subscribers. Where I talked about my three triad sagas. It was inspirations, intentions, and I think it's like applications or something like that. Where basically what mythic storytelling is. Like, how do you develop it? How are you intending to use it? And how can it be applied?
Yeah.
This week is well, last week was inspirations. This week is intentions for Eclipse.
Okay.
Um, and then I'll have one more next week. And depending on how that's received, I'm debating if I'll do the other ones or if I'll try to do something else.
Okay.
I haven't had a lot of feedback on them. I've had likes. Good. I have had a few likes, which I
Okay.
know I'm still relatively young in subscribers and traffic.
Right.
So I'm sure that it'll pick up steam eventually, but I don't really know how people are enjoying them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just throwing things out there like what I've done. And then what I ultimately would love to do is I would like to have to bring people like do a more engaging thing, kind of like you do.
Yeah.
Might not necessarily be an interview, but more like roundtable,
Sure. Yeah. 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 I can see that.
where either we'll have a topic to talk about or we just shoot the shit.
Right. Yeah.
What's
Yeah. Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Like, I know Gabriel tries to do that all the time, but I don't know. I'm not always available to join his because they're always doing him when I'm at work.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
feels so bad. He tries so hard.
He does.
He
Yeah.
tries so hard. I'm telling you, Gabriel Garcia is hiding his angel wings.
Yeah.
He is.
One of these days, I got to bring him onto the show here. I've been on his podcast for an
Hmm.
interview a while back, but I would love to have him on here because yeah,
Oh,
he's a very special soul. I really
hmm.
I really enjoy Gabriel's work. I enjoy him, having him as a friend and everything he does right for the community
Yes.
of writers in general. Really special person. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
And I especially love how reverent he is for historical fiction.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
wow.
It's impressive.
Yes.
It's very impressive.
Like I thought it was ironic he actually asked for some input from me about Viking like hedonism and paganism to make sure it fit.
Hmm.
And I was like, the fact that you've just asked me, one, is a huge honor, and two, bro.
Yeah. It's very dedicated to his craft. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like he wanted, like I was like giving him input on like how the Valkyries were viewed, like how you when how would a Valkyrie like show up, or like what is their presence like, because he was trying to translate that, and I was
Yeah.
like, holy cow, I'm honored that you're asking. Kind of like I had a friend who actually reached out to me on Inkit. She has a series called Creature Seers,
Hmm.
which is really cool because it actually ties into how like what we were talking about fair, like preternatural creatures. They're in the corner of your vision, but when you look, they're gone,
Okay.
which is what preacher means versus paranormal.
Okay.
Preternatural, paranormal. The preternatural are like an in-between existence,
Hmm.
hence why we call it the veil.
Hmm.
When the veil is lifted, you see. Like the characters in Creature Seers are people who have the ability to see these creatures and how they impact the world where other people don't see them.
Hmm.
She actually reached out to me and was asking for some input because she wanted like mentor type characters to come from like a witchcraft perspective.
Mm.
And she was like, "What kind of resources should I be looking at? Does this feel like it's authentic?" And I went, "Well, first off, it's a very personal approach. So if you want if you want your witches to have their own vibe, that's
Hmm.
authentic."
Hmm. Hmm.
Because honestly, witchcraft is just the original scientist. They
Right.
were testing the world around them. I tell old people all the time, if you like your field of science, think a witch.
Hmm. Yeah.
You like chemistry, think an alchemist.
Right.
You
Right.
like medicine, think a necromancer.
Yeah. It all goes back to that. Yeah.
You like biology, think of an herbalist.
Hmm.
They were
Yeah.
doing grafting before you. You
Yeah.
like you like the pharmacy. The original pharmacies were called apothecaries.
That's right. Yeah.
Like people seem to don't not understand the distinction between a witch and witchcraft. Like comes from the term for weird.
Mm.
Like it's an old word for like weird. Like
Interesting. Yeah.
which is it's odd, it's mystic, it's
Yeah.
unexplainable. So like it's a lot less obscure than I think people realize. Like I actually was on another podcast and they were like, "Do you have any questions you want us to discuss on the podcast?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I was like, "How do you guys feel about how witches are depicted in media?"
What a question. Yeah.
Now, mind you, I think that there's an absolutely appropriate reason to have like your wicked witch. Because let's face it, there are people out there who have nefarious intentions. I'm
Sure.
never going
Yeah.
to deny that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Necromancers literally were given permission to like dissect people alive. I'm not going to I'm not
Right.
going to shy away from that. But
Yeah.
like one of my favorite things about Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters was they showed, yeah, you got these witches, but they're ugly because they do bad things that
Mm.
like twist them.
Okay.
Like that's why they're ugly.
Right.
Whereas you have this white witch who is quite lovely and she's very soft spoken, she's very sweet, but she's hiding because if anybody were to think she's a witch, oh dear, do. And even Hansel has to realize, oh, wait, you're a witch?
Mm.
And he originally when he finds out, he freaks out, but then he realizes, wait a minute, you're not a bad witch. Oh, there's a difference.
Hmm.
Which is like I said, I'm so bummed it never got the sequel it was supposed to get. But like it was a really cool approach to how, yeah, there's people who who do it for personal gain, and then there's people who do it for a grander good.
Right.
Which was something that I was bringing up, and they all were kind of like, I never thought of it that way, and I'm like, well, I'm the writer, guys. I'm the writer.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I want to try and break like this could be a round table discussion for ramblings of a demiurge.
Sure. Yeah.
Because aren't we all demiurges at the end of the day? I
Yeah.
mean, you all don't have Jay, which I know I've told you about Jay,
Yeah.
my mascot, my solar demiurge that I actually made a costume for Jay because originally I was gonna try and do like the fantasy RP like reels that you see on like social media. Like some people have seen Tank.
Hmm.
He's a fitness guy where he has like his Viking ship is
Hmm.
his gym that he does,
Right.
and he does like fantasy like workouts and things like that. He's also one of the sweetest people I've ever seen on social media. Like he's a beautiful soul.
Mm.
Um, but then there's others like Quincy the Tavern Keeper.
Oh yeah. I'm familiar with
Those,
Quincy. Yeah.
yeah. And then goodness, there's this one lady. She's like a she does fire stuff. Can't remember Bonnie. Things like Sarah Bonnie or something like that. Like she's
Okay.
like plays with pyrotechnics.
Okay.
Um, she actually used to be a part of a Ren Fair show where she was like a fire breather. Like she actually did like actual performances with that stuff. Like I wanted to do something in that same kind of fantasy vein, but I
Hmm.
one couldn't figure out how to build a set that
Hmm.
would be like that I could work out of,
Yeah.
and two, just the production quality. I don't have that. But I still would love to do something that's Jay related.
Hmm.
Because Jay is a very curious dragon. He watches his worlds from afar because this is how he's learning about humans.
Right. Okay.
Which is a theme in my stories, like you were saying, like it's very humans, it's very contemporary, very relatable. Is Jay is trying to understand human nature
Yeah.
by watching these characters and what they go through. He's honoring them by allowing them to go through what they go through. Like some people are like, "Oh, my babies, I hate doing this to them." No, Jay is genuinely like, "No, we go through trials and tribulations to learn things or to find our metal, to find what we're capable of, where our
Hmm.
strengths are." Which is how he approaches that his craft. But he has his world by his world tome, which I actually have my world tome over here that I actually made for my costume.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
actually a book vault.
Okay.
Like I cut a little section out with like some felt, and I can store things in it. It
Yeah.
actually can hold a book,
Wow.
like one of my books.
That's
I can
cool.
keep it hidden inside, so it looks like I opened my book and I'm pulling out of the magic book. Like I can pull things from my worlds.
Right.
But yeah, like I would love to do something with him. Like I think I told you I would love for Jay and Fenton to just sit down and have a chat about being bards.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I'm thinking obviously I haven't written the podcast episode for this week yet, but you know, I always do like a comedic sort of intro.
Right.
So I'm
Which I
already
love them. I love
I'm
them.
already building some ideas based on our discussion here, so I will of course share that with you outside of the interview here. But that's going to be fun. And yes, we should do that, like an official sort of crossover, uh,
Hmm.
at some point in the future. That's definitely going to be a thing.
Hmm.
So this last question that I have for you is something that I ask every guest on here because I love all the different answers I get.
Hmm.
So, given all that you've been through as a writer and as a creative thus far in your life, what advice would you give to a fellow writer that is just starting out in their creative journey? Like what's like something you wish you knew from the beginning?
Honestly, in the very beginning, I wish I had given myself the grace to write something personally messy.
Okay.
Um, like I said, this coming year, the Triad Sagas turn 2023,
Yeah, 23. Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I took forever to write them because I was like, that's really close to home. That feels so. No, nobody should know that about me, or like, it's too personal. Nobody would relate to it.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One of the reasons you should write personally messy stuff
Mm-hmm.
is because humans are messy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of the things about my writing that I think, like you were saying, it's very personal, very relatable, is because I love writing human character driven plot
Mm-hmm.
where you you can make a mistake. You don't have to be trapped with it forever. Now, the character might feel like they're burdened by it forever, but there is a redemption. There is a seizing the sword. There is a return with the elixir
Right.
if you seek it. Which is where I say I try to write hope in my stuff personally.
Mm-hmm.
You can write messy stuff and people will actually like it more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's absolutely true and honestly really, really, really good advice. Yeah. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of writers wrestle with, right? It's like that how much of yourself do you put into it, you know? You know, and then of course the
Well,
imposter syndrome kicks in. Like, does anybody even care?
oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, they also say write what you know.
Yeah.
And my argument for this is it's not your degree.
Yeah.
What have you lived through? What
Yeah.
experience do you bring to the table? One of the reasons The Lord of the Rings hits home so hard is because that man went through World War One.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was in the trenches. He lived through horrors. He watched the decimation of the countryside. Like, he's physically seeing this and he put it into that work.
Yeah. That's a really good comparison. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
C.S. Lewis, well, yes, we know Narnia is an allegory. He
Yeah.
obviously was writing a parable for children to understand faith,
Yeah.
but he also knew children relate to these things.
Yeah.
What's it like being a child? What is the purpose of a fairy tale?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite quotes is by him is like, "One day you'll be old enough to read fairy tales again."
Mm. Wow, that's a great quote. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like the other being from Terry Pratchett is that humans need fantasy to be human,
Mm.
to be where the fallen angel meets the rising ape.
Wow.
Like like storytelling is magic. Like
Mm-hmm.
whether you are a pagan, witch, whatever,
Yeah.
there is power in a story. Just look at how people will fight over canon.
Yeah.
Like, no, this universe is canon. No, this universe is like they'll fight
Right.
over parallel canons of a story, like because it's that powerful to them. Like I was
Yeah.
saying earlier, their faith, their what they put their strength they draw from that makes it easier to get out of bed every day. That makes it worth going out and doing something.
Mm.
Like a lot of science fiction is the only reason we have modern technology
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
because somebody had a thought.
Right.
Thanks, Jules Verne.
Yeah.
Heck, modern medicine took off because of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of neurology that stemmed out of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, fantasy doesn't just have to be junk food.
Mm-hmm.
which there's nothing wrong with junk food.
Yeah.
I love being a good escapist thing that just entertains me. But there's also stuff that like, makes you go, ooh, I just had an idea. And you go off and like, there was something you were saying earlier about questions, like, what inspires you?
Yeah.
Like, Stan Lee, rest your soul, once felt bad that he was just a comic book artist when he sees like there's architects, there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's people who have important jobs, and I'm just a comic book artist. But then he realized, wait, I'm one of the reasons that they don't go crazy.
Yeah.
Like Fenton is a bard because stories need to be passed down. People need to feel that connection to story. It's important to human nature. So and this is where it goes back to write messy stuff, we have a power to inspire, to break down a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes somebody has a boundary that they will refuse to touch because it's too personal for them. But when they walk through it through someone else's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
they don't realize that they just walked through a door.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always compare to the never-ending story with Sebastian, how he's reading the book
Mm-hmm.
and he's living through this with the characters. And I'm like, that's how reading should feel anyway.
Yeah.
Because Sebastian came out brave.
Mm-hmm.
He came out like feeling confident with himself. Not just because a dragon popped out of a book for him, but because he realized how much power he actually had. He was able to let his mother's death go because he gave her name to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that revived a whole world off of his imagination. Like that's one of the reasons why the Neverending Story is just so freaking like we
Yeah,
talked to Sophia about it. Like
that's right.
that honestly, it's one of those movies that I feel like actually encompasses what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's an 80s trauma fest for Gen Xers. I don't know. Sometimes kids like to be scared.
Yeah,
Sometimes they just do.
it's
Like
true.
Coraline, I tell everybody all the time, the editor was not going to publish Coraline.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, ask a child to read it." She's like, "Fine, I'll let my niece read it. If she likes it, I'll publish it."
Mm-hmm.
Finally meets the niece one day. He's like, "I heard you like Coraline." She's like, "Oh no, I was scared, but I needed to know what happened next."
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to face your fear and learn how to face it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also very
Like
true.
stories can give you that power.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
yeah, write messy.
Yeah.
Write messy.
Embrace it. Right. Yeah. 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 Awesome. Well, Jaden, this was an incredible, incredible interview. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for your time. Like I said, really excited for people to hear this, and kind of connect to your work that way because I know they will. I know I have. Every time we talk about your work, I get excited about it all over again.
I like
So,
yours too.
yeah, of course. But yes, no, this was so great. So just wanted to say thank you again, genuinely, for coming on the show here. And yeah, I imagine it won't be the last time either. Because we could talk, for hours
Oh
and
God,
hours.
yes.
We haven't even like talked about some of the other stuff we worked on. But
Yeah.
I think this was a great kind of first impression, which was the goal of
Mm.
your work. So yeah, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for having me and giving me a place to meet more people.
Absolutely.
And thank you for giving me the courage to move forward on Substack. Because, like I said, I never thought people would be enjoying the stuff that I wrote, that I
Yeah.
posted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm really glad I could help you. Every time a writer takes that leap, puts themselves out there, finds their audience. I mean, that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, obviously,
Mhm.
I want to be successful. I want people to read my stuff, of course, right? But
Mhm.
a very like close second to that, for me as a person, is to help other writers find their audience. Get eyes on their work because everybody brings something special and unique to the
Yeah.
table. And it's like you said, embrace it. Embrace the messy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really great. So thank you again, man. Really appreciate you being on the show here.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
All right, and a big thank you to Jaden again for coming on to the show. Now we'll talk about next week on Substack. We'll start with a new power up prompt tomorrow, and looking at the poll, it seems like next week's genre is going to be folklore.
I'm excited to announce that I'll be partnering with one of the local masters of folklore in the community as well for next week's prompt. That's right. Power Up prompt number 22 will be written by a friend of the show, J.M. Gooding. J.M. provided me with some options for next week's prompt in the event that folklore was chosen, so look forward to that. He'll also be helping me with some of the shoutouts on next week's episode too. And next week also marks the return of the Order of the Pawn. We are heading straight into the Battle of Giant's Bane, and trust me when I say it's going to be epic. Stay tuned for that on Tuesday. And of course, our usual weekly threads and Mindful Monday checkpoint will be in the mix as well, along with other things that may or may not pop up as the week goes on. But hey, at least I got that article out this past week about memes for writers, right? In any case, thank you for listening, my friends. Stay tuned for a very exciting guest announcement next week as well, but I'm going to keep that one a secret for now. In the meantime, I'm wishing you all a safe and productive week of writing, and this is Bradley Ramsey, signing off. Oh, Bradley, there you are. I'm trying to figure out what shoes to wear when I meet Jay the Solar Demiurge. Finton, I've been meaning to ask, why would he care about your shoes? Why would he? Oh, by the Titans, you really are hopeless. Why would a Solar Demiurge care about my shoes? That's like asking why humans care about breathing. Okay, fine, well, what about those? These? My elven wood clogs? Are you serious? This is a solar demiurge, not some common noble. Just get out. I'll figure it out myself. Okay, fine. Jeez, guess I need to learn more about shoes, apparently.